Now, we're going to start this episode off with the League of Extremely Ordinary Gentlemen's discussion on the Legend of Korra. And as I said on the previous podcast, the reason why I want to do this is because it seems like me and Nuance's opinion is extremely different or radically different than the consensus. So for anyone listening who wants to know like two sides of the story, I thought it would be interesting to put the general consensus first and then our opinion, for your listening pleasure. So some people might agree or disagree, it's a good idea, bad idea, but hey, I like to make things more interesting. So for the next 20 minutes or so, you're going to hear the Leo's discussion on the Legend of Korra. Then after that, me and Nuance are going to take back our podcast and continue with our review on Legend of Korra. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the show.
All right, guys. Well, let's move on. Let's start talking about. Well, y'all want to start with Game of Thrones? Or you want to start with Legend of Korra?
Let's start.
Speaking of epic deaths,
let's start with Korra because I know about that. I haven't seen Game of Thrones, and I have to leave soon. So
okay. Well, we've talked not that long ago about Legend of Korra, but now they finished up the first season, which is 12 episodes. And the one complaint I keep hearing from people, it's like, I feel like they tied up everything too pat. I think the problem that people have is that the first series was 3 seasons that were all one long continuing story.
Yeah.
Where there was it didn't really have endpoints so much.
I think everyone anticipated a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
They got a nicely resolved story.
Yeah, they resolved this story of
I understand. I sort of felt that a little bit, although Harris explained how they originally only planned for 1 season and then got the word that they could do more.
yeah, it was going to be a mini-series originally.
Yeah. But if I had any problem, I think it's awesome like everybody else, but if I didn't have any problem, is that there's so much that happens in the last 2 episodes. So much of what comes to the end comes in the last 2 episodes, and I wish it had been brought.
Well, it all ramped up to a big epic battle, sure.
But all the stuff with Tarlok, so much that happens in the last 2.
I felt like my issue with Tarlok and Amon is that I thought... Well, initially, of course, you're thinking, oh, Tarlok is Amon.
Right.
And it all makes sense because every move he's making benefits Amon. But when it was revealed that they're brothers, this is spoilers, I'm sorry.
Well, no, we said this would be the spoilery.
Cool. Anyway, when it's revealed that they're brothers, but they're not working together, that's where I was kind of like, why wouldn't they have them working together?
They explained it pretty well.
They do explain it pretty well.
I love the fact
that
they were working together.
They explained it, but everything that Tarlok was doing was benefiting Amon, and I was like, it would just make so much more sense.
Well, it makes sense because the more that Amon scared the shit out of all of the people, the more power Tarlok accumulated for himself.
True.
Yeah, he knew exactly what he was doing. He just thought he had it under control.
I would like to say in technical terms for this whole first season, the animation quality started great and just accelerated upwards from there. So by the end, you're like, I can't believe that they afforded to make this fucking
they had
choreography was amazing.
They had some of the best fight scenes and action sequences I've ever seen in anything ever.
Sequence with, I forget her name, the cop
where
she's jumping from the fucking Zeppelin to Zeppelin thing, tearing it a piece. I was just like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Yeah, that was so badass.
Yeah.
And when right at the end of the championship, when she and Korra and she's grabbing Korra and shooting her
that
up
was
in the
the
air,
one. That was when I had my jaw on the floor.
Yeah.
It's Spider-Man with metal.
Yeah, well, it felt like as much as the first one, it had a slower build story where it was much more. It was much more paced with sort of a learning type thing, where he's learning a lesson each week. And this is more of an X-Men type of thing. There's mutants all over the fucking place with powers that are really good at using them.
Oh yeah.
I was like, wow. The first one, I was kind of surprised they even wanted to make a live action movie of. This one, I kind of want to see a live.
Well,
action
you're right
movie
because it's a shorter story.
It'll all be white
with action that actually would fit more to a movie.
Yeah,
it's Whereas the original series, The Last Airbender, is a novel. Korra is more of a novella, and those make better. They're the right pace for movies.
One can't help but wonder, though, where are they going to go from here in the next season?
I'm curious about that as well.
Well, there are a lot of places they can go because really in this season we only got to see the inside of one city.
True.
That and she finally figured out air, but she doesn't really have her whole mastery of her spirit.
And yet she still did evolve totally. She evolved to a much higher state of being, and it felt like such a chapter ender for an Avatar character.
But it would be great if they go and explore the whole spirit side so much more in depth.
I would really like to see what would happen if you have a character like an Avatar who isn't on her learner's journey. I'd like to see what the Avatar is supposed to do.
Well, not only that, but there's still a bunch of stories they're going to tell us. They're probably going to tell us how Aang died.
Yeah,
they're probably.
Yeah, they haven't even said that. That's true.
He died young, apparently.
Yeah,
he did. I mean, it was spirit state or whatever is that young man.
Well, he became more powerful than you can possibly imagine, though. So it's okay.
Apparently, he can tap into her and just control her.
Well,
Yeah,
did you guys
tap that?
Well, I'm interested in
She's 16, dude.
17.
Janet Varney is it?
I mean,
And guess who's never coming back on our show?
I know. Something I found interesting is watching the evolution of just the society and even humans. Like, something I noticed is that you got fewer mutation animals. I mean, you had the polar bear dog and
the fire ferret.
Oh no,
Yeah,
they're showing a lot.
No. But like with the original series, you got to see a lot of those. Like there was no animal that wasn't a hybrid of something.
Well, I know.
Every
but
single animal they showed was.
They were also going through the countryside.
Yeah, they were going through
one city.
Right.
The
They had
forest
spider
and
rats,
jungle
and they
shit.
had
They had the
those
birds.
Those bird hawk vultures.
I remember seeing some animal that on the last couple episodes that wasn't a hybrid at all, and I was like, "Huh."
For the record,
that's
I
interesting.
totally want the giant polar bear dog stuffed animal action.
Yeah.
I totally want that shit.
I
That
went
thing
to
is
Randy's
awesome,
place, and
man.
he's got Momo. And
I saw that.
But,
Oh my
yeah.
god!
Yeah, I want that Appa so bad.
Seriously,
I'm pretty sure there was a Mexican American on there somewhere.
I have a question. So we know that water benders can also evolve to being blood benders.
that-
not all of them.
No, but
some.
is that a specific thing to waterbenders?
Yes,
though?
only
Yes,
water
yes, it
Is
is.
it only
because it's
waterbenders?
liquid, right?
Because the thing is, like every I guess every bending has like a secondary bending.
But what are metal benders?
That's
metal benders
Well,
are secondary
earthbenders can
Metals
become
are-
metal
okay.
benders.
So you would
Electricity is
think
from
that-
fire, but what's air?
You would think that.
They haven't.
Well,
it's hard to say because in the last series there was only one airbender.
That's right.
And again, I don't think any of them have managed to.
We saw that. We saw
Yeah, there was
Earthbender.
that.
Yeah, well, you've got fire and air. You don't.
what
Because
I think-
because fire goes to lightning and
Oh,
water.
fire! Is there a lightning bender?
Yes.
Yeah,
Azula was bending
Well, I
fire.
never
and lightning.
watched the third season of.
Maku,
my
though.
God.
Yeah, I know, I
Maku
just
was
ran
doing
out of
lightning
time,
bending.
so.
He was working in that factory part time in the
Okay.
second episode.
I thought that was
And
a,
with water, you can do
glove
ice
thing.
and healing,
Yeah. As well
He
as
was straight
blood
up.
bending.
and then blood. on a full moon.
Air is honestly the only one we've never seen because there's only been one airbender.
That's true.
Unless that's another one of those lost stories of Aang that we haven't gotten to yet. We haven't seen whatever his secondary mutation is.
Seriously, the Avatar needs to get to fucking because there needs to be more airbenders out there.
So
it's time to pump out some babies.
Is Tenzin the only son of Aang that is an airbender?
no, his other son Boomy shows up at the
But
end.
is he an airbender or a waterbender?
I think he was a firebender.
Oh, is he a firebender?
Was he fire? I thought he might have been okay.
Well, he shows up in the Fire Nation uniform. So.
You're right. You're
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
I thought that was just the general army or whatever uniform, and I figured he's probably a waterbender since I thought. Okay, sorry. I thought Katana or whatever her name is, Katara was saying that only one of her kids was an airbender. I don't know why. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I just want to see actual Bender show up. This place is lame.
Yeah.
But since we were talking about deaths, one of the things I was really kind of shocked by
the
was the death of Amon and Tarlok.
I was like, holy shit.
I was like, holy shit, too.
At
Because
first
it seemed
I
like that
thought-
story was over. It's like, okay, because I was yelling at the screen like, don't let the villains fall into the water. Go chase them, goddammit.
That was like a
not
Scorsese death.
I swear to God, I thought Tarlok was just going to tase him on and bring him back or something. Then as soon as he looked at the gas tank, all I was like, no, there is no way in hell you're doing this. You are not doing that on that kid show. Boom!
Well, yeah, because
Holy fuck!
I mean, it's not just that it's a kid show; it's that it's TV. You don't kill guys that you could bring right back in later if you need another plot element. So it's like, they'll do the thing that they do, where they're like, okay, well, they went back, but we know they'll ply into it at some point later. And yeah, I was like, wow, that's awfully final, which leads to even more of my, well, what the fuck are they going to do next?
It is one of those things where, a lot of deaths in cartoons and comic books, there's some little ambiguity, so you can bring them back. And that was like, that shit is final right there.
Yeah, I mean, because all the other deaths were implied and sort of off screen. Like you'll see Balin Fong or whatever her name is.
Balin Fong.
She'll just be like grabbing people and throwing them like 100 feet down into the ground. You're like, oh, that person's dead. And that's only implied. He straight up like they're dead.
Yeah, well, they did a lot of the. I found myself a little irritated during the biplane sequence because they kept having to show you their like parachutes.
I know. That's what I was thinking too. I was like,
dude, they just blew that shit up out of nowhere. There's no way that guy had time to get out of that.
I mean, really, I think that may have been on purpose so that death at the end, like
you're right,
would be way more shocking.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
And they were, man, like holy shit.
But I gotta say, I loved this season. I mean,
it was great.
Like I posted, I think that it's one of the best seasons of American animated TV I've ever seen.
It's definitely up there.
Both in style of just the animation quality, which is
probably
at
the
points
best.
jaw dropping, and just flat out story.
I mean, last season of The Simpsons was pretty good.
But it moved at a steady clip. It was really.
It started out very
whatsoever.
like it didn't seem to have a big agenda with the first 2 or 3 episodes. It's like, okay, welcome to Republic City, and what adventures will she get into? But then that shit with Amon started, and even that was like, okay, this is something we'll play in the background. It wasn't until
Amon
Azumi's dad, when they're checking him out, and he's like, "Oh, I'm cool. Okay, I'm not. I own this robot factory, and I work for Amon."
I thought it was really when Amon blew up the fucking championship.
Yeah,
that was when all gloves are off, and where the fuck is this going to go?
Yeah, that was the one that I thought was really interesting because before I found out that it was going to be a miniseries, I thought that like the championship was going to be like the
Battle Angel.
Not exactly. I thought that was going to be like the leading into what's his name, the asshole on the other team being like the villain of the season.
Oh, right.
And Amon was going to be like the overarching arc of the entire series.
Right.
And then Amon blows the place up, rolls in, takes out the other team like it was nothing.
Yeah.
And they become like tragic figures at that point.
Yeah. And at which point it's just like, oh wow, we were not taking you nearly seriously enough.
Look, now I know that, and Nate approached me before we even started recording. Hey, if there's an extra mic to talk about Korra, I'd kind of have a thing or two.
Come on, Nate.
I might not mind having a thing or two to say about it. He just finished watching it too. Hey, this mic is on. It's live, baby. It's all you.
Right.
Might as well sit down.
Yeah,
the adjunct member of the league.
Say some new
stuff. The room, Nate.
Hello, everybody.
Did you hate Korra?
No, I fucking loved it.
Oh, okay. We already covered that.
All right, thanks, Nate. That was great.
All right.
No, sit the fuck down.
No, I mean, the thing that struck me most about, I mean, and this was already touched upon before, where it's like Harris said that this, like, the previous series is more of like, we are exploring the world, and there's one thing that they have to achieve: defeat the Fire Lord, and they did that. And
I mean, the way you say it, like, well, they just have to. They have one thing they have to do, but
it's exactly.
He also
exactly.
He also had to learn all the other bending.
Yeah, but in order to, like any
When
big,
did you just get bending for dummies?
Yeah.
I mean, it set everything up. It's it's like every big epic, like Star Wars,
No, you're right. You
defeat Voldemort in Harry Potter. It all. But now with Korra, it's like, okay, we're just exploring this world that has already set up this huge mythology, and
who knows where we want to go?
Exactly. Yeah, and it's like there's like elements of so many like elements of, like, I mean, shit, like the final like you guys were just talking about the two brothers on the boat, at the very end, Amon and I forgot the brother's name.
Charlotte.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching that and I'm like, this feels so much like The Godfather right now. Fredo out on the boat. He's gonna like Michael Corleone sent the command to kill his brother.
Corleone,
huh?
You know what? Maybe this isn't so unintentional after.
I just think that having 12 episodes was able to make it like really tight, and it was great.
Yeah,
there was no filler at all. And like say, I don't know, the chasm, the canyon, or whatever the fuck that episode was.
Oh, and
where the two tribes, they have to get together, and, and get over their differences.
To the point that even in the play within the show within the show, they get to the chasm and goes like, you know what? Let's just skip this.
Well, yeah, and that was a pretty funny one because even with Avatar: The Last Airbender, every episode, like I think Cyrus was saying earlier, where it's like every episode kind of had its own moral, and you learn something, and that one was like. What was the moral? Sometimes you have to lie. He basically lied to these two tribes and says, I'm 100 years old and I remember what caused...
Because sometimes people are dumbasses.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you learn something.
Yeah. Hey, that's an important lesson.
It's an important lesson.
Like, you know what? You're going to go through your life, and sometimes you're going to meet sometimes you're going to meet a tribe that's just a bunch of assholes, stupid people. Yeah. Like, all right, yeah, sure, you rapture, whatever. Okay.
Yeah. There was a couple great scenes with her polar bear dog. There's that one where it comes out of nowhere and just bitch slaps that one.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
But what's the name of the polar bear dog?
Naga.
I feel like they didn't do enough of like giving it a character like they did with Momo and Appa.
I wanted to see him.
Well, it only had,
you're
only
right
had
about
12
that.
episodes, really.
Like with he's the polar bear dog.
Yeah, and you
But
love Appa.
Like, I don't really think that that attachment to Appa really came until the second season, right?
No, I felt an attachment to Appa and Momo
Me
right
too.
off the bat.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It was a while ago
Momo had more of a
Momo,
personality
honestly.
than Appa ever did. Appa kind of just kind of stood
Appa
there.
had that one dedicated episode where he was
Appa's Big Adventure. Oh god, that
was
hurt me.
so
Let's
sad.
face it, Appa was like a cross between Totoro and the cat bus. Let's like
Yeah,
those
yeah,
combined
yeah.
into one
Yeah.
creature.
Yeah.
And so, like right off the bat, I was like, "Yep,
kick
I
your
like
ass?"
And the
this."
thing is, Sokka was such a great part of Last Airbender, and Bolin was funny, but he's no Sokka.
Yeah.
Right.
It was funny seeing that little cameo of Sokka.
Chris Hardwick playing Sokka.
What was it him?
Oh,
playing
yeah.
Sokka? That's great.
Oh, I didn't realize
That's
that.
awesome.
That's funny.
Yeah, and I think that Momo was definitely to me more of a character.
Yeah.
Than not Sokka.
Appa.
Than Appa was. And Appa was more of an emotional
Vehicle.
sort of. Yeah. It was
Literally
a vehicle. Goddamn it. But like this emotional, like this functional thing that would make you feel at
Yeah.
the right places.
Yeah.
Whereas Momo felt like an actual
Part of the
contributing team member.
Fly
Yeah.
around, get stuff for him, whatever.
Yeah.
One of the things I really liked in terms of the characters, especially with the love triangle that happened in Korra, was the way it was handled. It was just established early on. It's like, okay, Mako likes Korra, Korra kind of likes him, but then there's what's her name? He kind of likes her too. Ends up going with what's her name, and that's the end of it for a while. They don't make there's not any angsting about it. There's not any,
There's a little angst.
No, later. Yeah,
when that
later.
dude walks in on the kiss,
Yeah. The whole thing with Bolin when he's got his flowers walking up there.
and Bolin just starts, just starts bawling immediately.
But I mean, like they did. It was kind of a one and done. This is the new status quo, and then later on, it just feels organic.
Well, I kinda like-
he's still attracted to
I
her.
kind of like the lesson that's being taught with all that. It's
Yeah,
like the girl's
make
like,
your fucking
"What?
move."
You kissed another girl? Fine, fuck you." And he's like, "Really? Fine, I'm gonna go kiss her again." Fucking jealous bitch. What the fuck?
Well, it seemed like it was setting up for her. Was it Azumi? Is that her name? For her to go like, well, fine, fuck you, Benders. I'll just join my dad, which she doesn't do.
Yeah.
It's like that's.
It made
really
a lot
good.
of sense in the story because you're worried to see what she's gonna do.
Yeah,
She'll hook up with Bolin eventually. But I love that.
Great, she gets the fat guy.
That Korra is such a take charge person in every aspect.
Yeah.
That she has a guy that she likes, and she'll just go up and tell him and be like, "Hey, I like you," and then it's like, "Oh, I'm going to try and sabotage your relationship because I like you and you should be with me." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, Korra!" She's not just a person who's just going to pine for someone secretly, and they're going to drag that on.
That's part
She's
of what
just
I really liked
direct about
it.
everything.
Like, she was just, like there was none of this dragged out like Aang likes Katara. Katara kind of likes Aang, but she might be feeling something for Zuko.
Yeah.
Oh, what's going to happen? Oh, of course she got together with Aang.
The writers are really smart and kind of paying attention to their own mythology. I remember there's some early episodes of The Last Airbender where I think it was Toph was trying to teach Aang, who learned airbending, which is all about thinking outside the box and maneuvering around and being fluid and stuff like that. And he already picked up waterbending and not firebending, but at the time, but
earthbending.
But earthbending was like, it's about dealing with what's in front of you. You have to attack it head on. And Korra is like an earthbender, a waterbender. You know, she learned all those elements so well, and those are the kind of aspects of her personality
But
that
air
are strongest.
doesn't fit.
Yeah.
And air, yeah, she can't kind of maneuver around things. You know, in early on,
She's very headstrong.
patience.
exactly, no patience, headstrong. You know, fluid in some ways with like
Fluids.
yeah.
I don't want to call the girl a slut or anything.
5 seconds from a cumbender joke.
That's what the airbending second skill is.
Yes. I want to be a shit bender.
No, you don't.
No, right now I do. 'Cause I have to shit. Like, I really have to shit.
In order to speed things up so Rubio can take a shit, let's move on to Game of Thrones.
That's it. I'm out.
And that's where I'm out.
All right, people, moving on. We're back, and what you just heard was the Leog's take, the League of Extremely Ordinary Gentlemen's take on the Legend of Korra, Season 1, Book 1, which I think was titled Air. I just want to say, because we're about to go into our review, that listening to their discussion, I don't really call it a review, it didn't really sound like the Spill crew I know. Because, you know, they review a lot of animated stuff, like they just reviewed Brave and what's the other one they just reviewed? Ice Age 4. And listening to this one, it sounded a little bit lopsided to me. All I heard was, I like this, I like that, and, you know, I didn't really hear anything they didn't like. Maybe they loved it all, I don't know, but they didn't sound objective as they usually do.
No, I don't think that's a fair thing to say. If they liked it, they liked it. If they don't have anything negative to say, that's their opinion. They watched it, they liked it, and, you know, they said what they had to say about it. If there's no negatives on their point of view, that's their opinion, isn't it?
It is. It's just unusual for them. But anyway, like I said, it wasn't a review, it was a discussion. So, and you know, maybe I'm just being an asshole, like I usually am.
I think you are. And anyway, now it's our turn, so let's just get on with it.
I might not be the only asshole after they hear this review.
I don't know what you mean.
Okay. People, it's time for the Dreamcasters to review The Legend of Korra Season 1. And we're going to start with a premise. You people should already know what it's about. Oh, actually, sorry, let's start with a disclaimer. If you haven't seen The Legend of Korra, people, then you probably won't want to listen to this, because this is a review of our opinions and why we're going to explain why we feel the way we feel about it. And to do that, we're going to spoil all the plot points, all of it. So
we're slicing and dicing, people.
If you don't want to hear all the major plot points, then you better listen to another review. So, you want to say, let me start with the premise of Legend of Korra.
You do that.
The Legend of Korra takes place 70 years after the end of The Last Airbender. The main character now is the new avatar, is a character called Korra. She's a female, and when it starts, you can see that she's a prodigy. She already has mastered. Let's not use the word mastered. She already has the ability to use 3 of the elements, the bending elements, water, fire, and earth. But she is yet to learn air. So that's the basic premise, and it's got to do with, is it Republic City? Which is the main focus of this show?
I believe so. It is Republic City, isn't it?
I think it's Republic City it's called. I might be wrong. And we'll get more into the storyline, but you know what? Let's just move on to the characters right now. Have I explained enough?
I think so, because you've done enough.
Right,
let's just go ahead.
Let's go straight onto the characters. Let's start with how we felt about the characters, and let's start with Korra.
Should I go first?
Yeah.
Right. So obviously everybody knows that I'm all about the female characters. So when Korra first came onto the scene, which was basically, with a big bang, the way that she came out as a baby and bending all 3 elements, I thought this was going to be proper heavy. I was really looking forward to it. Obviously, what you find out from the beginning is that she is the polar opposite of Aang. Whereas Aang was more a calm and spiritual person, she is like a headstrong, rebellious hothead. She's tough. So that's just the basis, I guess, foundationally, what you find out about her. And I liked it at the beginning. I thought it was a little bit too much, I'll say, as the series go on, and I'll explain that later on, because I don't want to really get into the storylines and why I think it's too much. But her foundational character, or foundationally what her character was tough, pretty tough, bad sister.
Personality wise.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, my turn. Yeah, just like you, she came off as another strong female character, the total opposite of Aang. And you would think, when you first see her, you might think, there might be some similarities between her and Kitara from The Last Airbender. But there's a big difference between her and Kitara, to be honest with you, because her personality to me feels aggressive. In general, like her personality, she has an aggressive personality. And yeah, I mean, that was fine. I thought, okay, this is interesting, total opposite of Aang. But as the show progressed, you could see that she was lacking certain things as the Avatar. She needed to learn air. You learn from the beginning that her spiritual, she excels at the physical elements of bending, but at the spiritual side, the mental side, it's not her forte. So, I'm waiting to see that character development in the series, in this season, some character development. And to be perfectly honest with you, I got none, as far as I'm concerned. The Korra that I saw in episode 1 is the Korra I saw in episode 12. Mentally, she gained nothing, as far as I'm concerned. She learned nothing. She gained nothing. The goal she was trying to achieve was just handed to her, as far as I'm concerned. She didn't get them through strife like all of the other characters in The Last Airbender. And in terms of writing, I was very disappointed. And I should have said this in the beginning. The Last Airbender set the bar very, very high. Very, very high, And I was already expecting greatness. So, Korra, disappointing. And when we talk about the storyline, I'll elaborate more. But that's all I've got to say about Korra right now.
Yeah, I didn't really want to go into the ins and outs, because if we start talking about her too much, we just go way so much into.
Let's just roll it on. Don't worry about that. Who do you want to do next?
Bolin. Was a character I really didn't like. He was cringe city for me. He was a very, very, very bad interpretation of Sokka. He was supposed to be the Joker, but he turned more into the jester. And and believe me, people, there is a difference. And I just disliked him. I felt that his character, there was points where he was supposed to be serious and take things seriously, and he never ever did. His joke.
Okay, hold on. You said, I want you to elaborate. I think it's important that you elaborate. You said that it's the difference between Joker and a jester. Explain what you mean, especially in terms of Bolin. What do you mean?
When I think of a person that is a joker, yeah, I think of someone who makes people laugh. Do you know what I mean? Without throwing pies in their faces to the point where they look extremely foolish. You're just talking about someone who has. When I think about a joker, I think about someone who has a quick sense of humor, who's slightly ironic. Do you know what I mean? But is smart, who is intelligent with his jokes and things like that. When I think about a jester, I think about someone with a hat, with ring that needs to have bells on the end of their hat to let people know that they have arrived, and do cartwheels and all these stupid jokes so that people can understand, hey, I'm the comedy here. Hey, what do you want me to do? Do you understand? And that is what I thought Bolin was. Is that clear enough?
It is. I just wanted to, clarify, But and I just want to jump in here and say I felt the same way. I mean, in all these shows, especially shows with people, I said this in The Last Airbender as well when I was doing a review. Yeah. When you see these shows where people have superpowers, you always have the plain person, the person with no powers that is making the jokes.
Indeed.
Bolin is an earthbender, right?
Yeah.
And okay, so you would think, okay, and he's a joker, so it's a bit like, okay, he's got two things to work with, not just one. He's not just going to be busting the jokes, but he's going to be, flaunting his skills. But no, throughout the show, as far as I'm concerned, you don't I didn't feel any character development from him either. Actually,
Well, I'm not being funny. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you, but I didn't see a character at all. I just saw a book of jokes. The only time he actually came out as any type of character is when he stepped in for his brother when they were pro-bending, and he actually was like, oh, hold on a minute, I can actually see, I've got a brain, and I can see that you can't do your job, so let me step in and do something. That was his only moment, like when it seemed like a light went off in his ridiculously jester brain, and he realized that, oh, hold on a minute, I can do something, and did it, and then he went back to buffoonery.
I'm really disappointed because it's not even like he's a weak character. Characters that act like clowns like that usually have no powers or just silly, like, you know, sorry to make this comparison, kind of like Usopp in One Piece. But this guy, he's actually got something there. He's got powers and this, but they do nothing with him. Nothing. And he's constantly a one-dimensional guy. All he does is make jokes. We'll get into this later. Something happens in the series where he should be mad. Well, as far as I'm concerned, and they try to pass it off as a joke, and it works. I'm not going to say it doesn't work, but then, you know, I'm thinking, okay, maybe later he'll, you know, think about it and get upset, or there'll be a confrontation, or we'll see a thought process about it. No, there's no thought process, no nothing. So, wow. Anyway, he's the worst character in the series for me. Period. Bolin, waste of space, man. Seriously, not funny. Doesn't bring anything to the table. And, you know, I know this is only book 1, so, you know, there's so many other things they could do with him later. But seriously, he doesn't take a step forward personality-wise. Nothing. So, and that's another
And I
film.
have to say as well, they really make they do some silly things with his face. Like, a lot of the times when serious things are happening, they really want us to know that he's a jester. So when something serious happens, everybody else's face is serious, and he looks like, you know, someone has just stuck 2 balls in his cheeks or something. It's so ridiculous. You know, it's so annoying.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think his brother, the other character...
Oh, the punk.
Mako? Yeah, you called him the punk. I called him a punk-ass bitch. I'll tell you that right now. I hate this guy. And he's the next character we want to talk about. So, let me go first.
You go first.
Mako is, I believe he's the older brother of Bolin.
Mm-hmm.
And all right, let me just start why I don't like him. I just don't like him because the things he does in this show are despicable, to be perfectly honest with you. I assume he's meant to be like a secondary good guy character. Yeah? And he's on the good guy side. He's part of Team Avatar. But the things he does, I don't think they're nice. I really don't. You know,
really? You don't think they're nice?
Talking about his character, does he have character development? Yeah, they hint. He talks about, he lost his parents and he's got this scarf that his dad or his mum gave him. I don't even remember which one it was.
Bolin's just got a face.
Boo-hoo, you know. And I'm like, okay, let's develop that. Nah, that's it. You only hear about that scarf in one episode, and, you know. So, you know, maybe that's a seed they're planting, but, again, they didn't develop it well. And, you know, I know we're going to leave this for the storyline, but he's involved with the love triangle of the show, and the way he handles that is pretty much despicable as far as I'm concerned. Putting that to a side, he's a pro bender. He's a firebender. He's cool. Yeah. I mean, there isn't really much going on with the guy except for his little romance games, and he's walking around like an emo as well, like some moody asshole. You know, acting like a punk, like you said, and you want to say, oh, Korra, yeah, whatever, Korra, whatever. Oh, she's the Avatar, whatever. Oh, you like me, whatever. Oh, what? He's not likable. I just didn't like it. I don't think there's anything to like about the guy. His action scenes in the show are few and far between. I mean, all right, pro bending, he seems to be a good pro bender. But that's pretty much the highlight of this guy. Other than that, I really don't like him.
Well, to tell you the truth, I think that Bolin's a better bender than Mako. I do.
Probably, I don't know. I mean, I see them. The thing is, the pro bending battles, I don't want to say they're chaotic, but a lot's going on. It's hard for me to see who's really
Well, I've got my own thing about that anyway, so I want to just leave that to a little bit later.
All right, let's move on to the next.
Should I? You didn't let me speak about Mako. You don't want me to say anything at all.
Oh, sorry. I thought you did.
No, I didn't say anything. Yeah, Mako's a punk. The end. No, only joking. Mako's a punk, and the reason why I do not like him as a character is because I really didn't understand where they were actually going with him. What kind of character is he? They started off with him being kind of dark, mysterious, brooding kind of character. Like, I don't care about anybody. Oh, why you got girls in here bowling? You know, let's be focused about pro bending. And then in the next episode, it's like, I'm so confused. I like you both. I don't know what to do. So I'm kind of like, which one are you? You know what I mean? And it really started to grate on me, especially with the whole, and I have to bring Asami into this as well, because we're going to talk about Asami anyway.
Well, bring her up now. You've already brought her. Who is she?
Asami is basically the daughter of one of the wealthy industrialists, one of the guys who does all the mecha in the city and stuff. So she's really, really well off, and she meets. Shall I talk about how they met? Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Basically, she was riding her motorcycle and she knocked over Mako, and that's how they met, and she invited him out to dinner. Yeah? To me, from that point, I thought Mako's character was already ridiculous, because he was supposed to be dark, brooding, and I suppose proud. This girl knocks you over with with her bike or whatever. She invites you out to dinner. You say you can't go to that restaurant. She says she'll pay. You're like, okay, that's already, I'm thinking, but I thought you were dark, brooding and proud, but obviously you're not. Then you say, I don't have any clothes to wear. Then she says, I'll buy you clothes. And he says, okay. It's like, so she buys him a whole new wardrobe. The man doesn't say no to nothing.
I think it was a little bit more. I think she persuaded him a little bit. Oh,
come off it. She didn't persuade him, no way. She was just like, she took off her hat, he saw how beautiful she was, and from then it was like, okay. That was it.
He did fall for her a little bit, and sorry to kind of move off topic a little bit. I felt that this is where the pacing problem started as well. They started going out in that same episode, which was really...
Yeah, it was weird. Well, the thing is that they never actually said they were going out as well. That's another issue I have. It's like, aren't they? And I couldn't understand what was happening. You see what I mean? But my problem with Mako is he kind of became a little pimp, if you ask me, because not only did he get clothes off this broad, he got to live in her house, eat her food, get serviced by a butler, who knows what else, yeah, and live a happy life.
I wouldn't use the word pimp. I think of him more as a leech, because I don't think he even later he kind of as a viewer, it becomes apparent he doesn't really like her. And a pimp is a user. It's like he's like.
He's a user. That's what I called him, a pimp. A pimp is a user, and that's exactly what he is. He's using a.
Yeah, but a pimp is like intentional, and this guy is kind of reluctant in his using.
He's reluctant. He never said no to anything. Tell me one thing. He never was reluctant. The only thing he was reluctant about was taking away his scarf. That was the only thing. That's when he said no.
Okay, well, you know what? Let's move on to.
So I just wanted to say, in regards to his bending and things like that, it was fine, but I just don't feel like he was a master at firebending to me. And I literally felt that he was supposed to be, I guess, the leader. And I feel that he was way too confused in regards to his love triangle to actually lead anybody anywhere.
Well, since you brought up Asami, let's talk about her on her own. What do you think she's a side character, by the way, and didn't really want to talk about her, but she is part of Team Avatar. So, Asami, what do you think of Asami? Because you know what? Let me go first.
Okay.
Let me go first. I think they introduced Asami season 2 episode 2 or 3. Like you said, you already explained how they met. The funny thing about this show, she's drawn in a certain way. Her eyes, I think she's wearing dark mascara or something. She's got the look of a villain. She looks like someone who's going to turn around at one point and betray you. She just has that look. And the thing I got to give the show credit for is that they didn't go that direction with this character. And that was a curveball. Like, okay, so, every moment, all right, there's a particular scene where it looks like she could switch sides and go to the dark side. And she doesn't. But to be honest with you, although I appreciated that they writ it in a way I didn't see it coming, her character became extremely boring because of it. And she actually became a third wheel in her own bloody relationship, which is unbelievable. And she became the driver of Team Avatar. She was being used by Mako.
Used by Korra. Yes, too. Yep.
You know what? But ironically, she actually has some character development because she had this dilemma with her father, which is, father finds out her father is a bad guy soon, and, there comes an ethical decision or a dilemma where she has to decide whether she's going to side with her father or not. And, it was interesting to see her switch sides or not go with her father. But at the same time, I don't know, I felt it would have been more interesting if she was the villain, if she was a villain. Because although it would have been a bit more predictable, I think it would have made her character more interesting.
Yeah.
And ultimately, she ended up being surprisingly bland. And I mean, forget about, all right, she didn't become a villain, that's fine. The relationship thing, the way that went, I'm expecting some kind of emotion out of her. Because trust me, boy, she's well within her rights to lose her temper or to go mad.
Within her rights.
It never happens. And wow, that is poor. It's not even realistic. Even in terms of a cartoon, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? She's not even upset.
Yep.
And she's being strung along in the worst possible way.
Yes.
I feel sorry for her, but you know what? It's bad character writing.
Yeah.
It's because she never even had a reaction.
Yeah. Sorry, I just want to jump in and say I agree with everything that you said, but also I want to say that as Korra was a very strong female character, ridiculously fiery, Asami was one of the weakest female characters I've ever seen. She had every single right to be angry and upset about her situation, in the sense of, even though we can't really put the whole Mako thing to one side, but let's just put even that relationship bit just to the side for a moment. Even the fact that she left home, and decided to leave her father, leave everything, because she had money, leave all of that to live in the slums, not even being able to eat the food. At one point there was a scene where she couldn't even eat the food and blah blah, everything that she was not used to. She left everything behind and she had no reaction at all. And then in regards to Korra and the Mako thing, she wasn't angry. She didn't seem hurt. We saw one or two little stares like, I'm kind of hurt, but I'm not going to say anything. And to me, there was no reason why she should actually still be with Team Avatar at all. Because literally, when you look at her backstory, her mother was killed by a bender. Her dad hates benders. Her boyfriend, or whoever he was, broke her heart, and he's a bender. So basically, what has benders done for you lately? Nothing. There's no good coming out of you being with a bender. And to me, she's just gone from riches to slums, and I would think as a character, she would at least be like, I'm going back. Look, now I've left all this stuff. I've given Mako everything that I have. I mean, people write music about this, man. Come on, Mary J has how many records has Mary J Blige has released about being brokenhearted? What happened to I smashed the windows of your car? This is the level that this girl should be on. She gave up her life. She gave up her money. She gave up her heart for a guy who then turned around and said, I just want you to know I will always care about you.
Enough, man. Enough. Let's move on.
People.
Let's move on. Now, before we move on to the next character, I like about how we did this. We spoke about the young characters. And now we're going to talk about the older characters, because this show has an interesting balance of age ranges, because you got the late teenagers and then you've got the elderly. You know, the elderly people, and it's an odd choice of mix because the OATs, the under 50s or coming to 50s, coming to 60s. That it just doesn't feel right. I mean, usually when you see cartoons or even anime, you either have children with teenagers. You know what I mean? You got a good dynamic there, or children with old people. But then when you put in these late teenagers with parents. It's like they're with their own parents. Why would you want to be taken anyway?
Why would you even listen to what they have to say? Nobody at that age, 17, 18, whatever, is going to listen to some old man. To the point where, I know we're going to talk about Tenzin.
That's right.
Sorry.
That's okay. Let's go on now.
All right. The point where Tenzin, who is her airbending master and the youngest child of Aang and Katara, she turns around to him at one point when he's trying to teach her airbending, and she says to him, "The reason why I don't know how to airbend is because you're not a good teacher." And that's exactly the reaction of a teenager would have. So to me, I was thinking, I don't understand how those two age differences match. So yeah, sorry, go on.
It really does feel like they're going for the polar opposite, because in The Last Airbender, you had children unsupervised. They had no guardian. Now what you have is late teenagers with parent figures.
Yes.
Which doesn't it doesn't feel right anyway. But yeah, we're talking about Tenzin now. Like you just said, Tenzin is one of Aang's children, and he's an airbending master. He has, how many kids does this guy have?
3 and 1 on the way.
He's got 3 kids and a pregnant wife in the show.
Pow, pow, pow.
And he's one of those characters. He looks really, really, teacher-like. He's, very stuck up, and he looks like a teacher, and he talks like this, and Korra, you should do it this way, and I'm trying to teach you, Korra, I don't want to say stuck up, but he's kind of stiff.
Yes.
He's stiff, he seems kind of wooden, and I do like him, but like I said, it's the synergy between the age, it's weird. But anyway, the guy's got so many kids. Why is it all these old people, boring types? They love sex. So this guy, he must love sex, banging his wife, because he's got so many kids, and they look like they were born a year after each other.
Well, he's trying to repopulate, I guess.
We'll talk about that.
We will talk about that later. Yeah.
But anyway, at Tenzin, I actually like him, even though I said he's kind of stiff. You see some, he gets shooken up. He loosens up a little bit, especially when him and Korra are messing around. Him and Korra actually do have good chemistry. He's a good teacher. But the only thing with his character is he's a teacher character. There's no character development for him. He's not one of the main characters, so you don't even expect that anyway. But he's an airbending master. I don't get to see him teach Korra anything at all. Wow. Look at that. You don't get to see him teach Korra. He's meant to teach her how to airbend. Well, that doesn't happen
at all.
Anyway.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. So that's a plot hole, period.
Yeah.
But, let's leave that aside for a second. I just don't get to see him doing his thing. You don't get to see the only thing he teaches Korra is how to run through this little maze of sliding panels.
Yeah, panels, yeah.
And or to be quiet and sit down and meditate. And funny enough, he's a monk, and I'm not even going to say in The Last Airbender, Aang had no teacher because of the whole situation. But show us something. Even she was getting pissed off. Like, why am I just sitting there? You have to meditate before you learn. Okay, but then the way the show ends, didn't have to do that anyway. So
the man's got kids to raise too. He ain't got time to just deal with Korra. He got kids to raise. You know what? From my point of view, I know I've said stuff about Tenzin as well already, but I thought Tenzin was funny. There was points about, I liked the fact that he was stiff, but there was bits when he got angry, they did this whole airbending thing where like more air would get into his clothes or he'd go red. And there was this really good bit where he was talking about, Korra figured something out about his past, and he was talking to Korra about his past, and he was about to go into his sob story, and then he just went, why am I talking to you about this? And it was funny. And now when I think about it, I would have liked him to be the comic relief instead of Bolin. I think that would have been funnier if he was the comic relief, because you see him at times get angry and he doesn't let it out, but his face goes red. You see him react, you know what I mean? And he does funny little things. He's got very good facial expressions, and I think that he would have been a much better real Joker as opposed to an accidental Joker, as opposed to the jester that we have. So yeah, but in general, I liked Tenzin. I thought he was good, but yes, there was not much character development. But you can see that there are layers of Tenzin and his family, and because he's got such a deep connection with Aang and Katara, you can see that there's so many layers, and he's got, I think, a brother and a sister. I'm not sure, but he's got family, you know, and they all seem to be very different. As you see at the end, you see one of the other children, or one of his brothers, and they all seem very different, and I would have liked to see, so we can see that in the next season there will be a progression with him and more layers that can obviously come out.
Hopefully,
yes.
Let's move on to our last two characters, two main characters. There are a lot of side characters. We're going to focus on two more that are main characters. But let's move on to the next female.
Character.
Who are we talking about?
We are talking about Lin Beifong.
Hells to the yes, man.
Hello, yes.
Another elderly character in the series. But I'll be damned. This, right off the bat, this is my favorite character in this show. She is the daughter of Toph from The Last Airbender. And she is the head of the police force in Republic City.
Indeed.
And what can I say, man? She is a hard ass, just like her mama. Maybe even more harder, I'm not sure. But she is, right from the beginning, she seems to have a little bit of disdain for Korra. Don't really know why. But to be honest with you, I like the way that works out in the end anyway. Her herself, you don't really find out a lot about her until midway to the end. But when she's in the show, she's a force, She's got the best action scenes. She has got some character. You find out a lot about her character, enough about her character. And she's just interesting. She's an interesting person. And really, this is a harsh thing to say, she's kind of more of a hero than Korra.
Ooh, that's harsh.
Especially at the end. So I really liked her. I really did. The only thing was, she was a little bit stony, a little bit cold, a little bit hard on her personality. But, I think after you find out a little bit about her past, you can see why. Maybe she's just a little bit burnt or something. I don't know. But you know what? I liked her. She's cool. Her fighting ability is great. The only criticism I have is not towards her exactly. It's the way people metal bend in Korra. It's not really cool at all. It's like shooting fucking spiderwebs out of your hands or something. She does it well. I mean, she's the only one that she does more things with it than other people, but generally you see all these police officers coming out of the sky, they're metal benders, and they're just shooting these rods out of their arms, and it's like, is that it? Do something else. They don't do anything. Shoot rods. When she fights, she does a couple more things. When she gets her moments to shine, she fucks some shit up.
Yeah, definitely.
But I just don't like that element of. I thought they would do something more creative with metal bending, but it's throughout the series, she shows you what metal bending is all about. Anyway, there's a scene I can remember. Wow, wicked scene. There's a scene where they have to rescue someone, and they're on the not a roller. What do you call that thing? They're underground and they're in one of those trolleys or whatever underground, and she has to bend the rail to go up a level.
Yeah.
And she bends it looks wicked. She has some scenes on the blimp, especially on the last two episodes that are amazing as well. But amazing, great scenes, best action scenes go to her as far as I'm concerned. I really liked her.
Yeah, I'm just gonna agree with everything you said. Lin Beifong was my favorite character as well. I think that she's a lot like Tenzin in the sense of there's layers there. She's got a scar on her face. Everybody's gonna want to know what that's about. And obviously there must be a reason why she thinks that Korra is. Why she thought at the beginning that Korra would be a threat, even though we know that she's got other issues. She had other issues and stuff like that. I just thought that she was the most creative with her bending. Even though she's a metal bender, she did use earth, bending as well. And I just thought that there's really, for me, 2 fantastic fight scenes, and one of them was with her in the whole pro bending thing arena. So Lin Beifong is an amazing character, and I really enjoyed watching her. I thought she was a hard nut, but she was soft. She was soft when she needed to be, and yeah, I really loved her. Great character. It'll be nice to see more development, but like I said already, I think there's a lot of layers, and I think that it's a character that once again we can see in the future and know more about in the future. So I was kind of okay with that.
All right, you want to say? Now we're going to get to our last character, the series antagonist, or the season antagonist, Amon, the demon, the mastermind, the puppet master. Wow, what do you think of Amon? You go first.
At the beginning, I really liked his character. I liked the fact that he was the antagonist. I liked what they were trying to do, the fact that he was trying to stand up for non-benders. And I just thought that it was a really refreshing, real clear direction for the Legend of Korra, for the last Airbender, whatever. It was the clearest direction to go in.
You mean in terms of storyline, it was a good idea to go with this idea?
Yeah. In terms of storyline, I like the fact that they had a character like him that was standing up for non-benders, which I think was a natural progression for where we left the last Airbender and coming forward with the Legend of Korra. So that whole idea was great. But in regards to stratagems, I mean, come on, at the beginning, the things that he was doing was freaking genius, to the point where you could see fear in Korra's eyes, when it came down to him. So I really thought he was a great character to begin with. But what the hell happened?
All right, before you go there, let me just, I'll catch up with you and just say, okay. Just like you felt the same way, great antagonist, great idea for the story to go from the last Airbender to this. It makes sense. It's relevant. Loved his puppeteering ways. I loved his aura. He was something to fear. And his whole thing was he could basically take away bending, Great power, made sense. Definitely made you think, where's this guy from? Where'd he get the powers? The curiosity was high. Great fighter. You see him having some battles, it all looked good. But, nuance, all my, everything that was built up about this guy, it just was destroyed.
Annihilated.
And I just don't know why. I really don't. And, Amon is the last character, so I'm going to just explain why I said this a little bit, man. I mean, this is book 1, and you would think he's going to be the main villain or antagonist for the whole show. That's what it looked like to me. But no. They decided that they need to wrap this shit up. And I don't know why. And what they came out with at the end for Amon, it was lame. And to be honest, there's an element of it that is interesting, but it just didn't fit his character. And the way it ended in the last episode, wow, that's nearly on clown shoes level as far as I'm concerned. But fear not, people. Now we're going to talk about the storyline. I'll elaborate.
Before you elaborate, you want to talk about Tarlok?
We'll talk about him in terms of the storyline.
Okay, cool.
Because he, yeah, let's talk about him in terms of storyline. You ready to go for the storyline?
Oh, I am. I'm so ready.
Okay. People, we already gave you the premise. Let's talk about how this all came together. So you got Korra, the Avatar. She already knows 3 powers. The anime starts. She's, she wants to do her airbending training. She wants to complete it so she can become the Avatar in the fullest form of the sense. So she has to follow Tenzin to the city because he has to go there because he's part of the city council, blah, blah, blah. Fair enough. So when she comes to the city, you got this comical fish out of water story, you know, country girl in the big city. Oh, I don't know what to do. Oh, these flashing lights. Oh my God, you know, my little polar bear running into people and, oh shit, she's the Avatar. Now, when we were talking about Korra's personality, she's very aggressive. So when she comes to town, even though she's got that fish out of water element, she's curious about the city and all that, she's like a punk. She comes to the town flaunting her shit. Like, you know, I'm the Avatar. Don't fuck with me. And I tell you, man, I kind of liked that in the beginning. I was like, okay, I wasn't expecting this. She beats up people, you know.
For good reason.
Yeah, they're bad people. And, you know, the action, especially the first scene when she beats up these gangsters or whatever, she freezes some guy's head and she does like a hurricane kick the guy into a car. And I was like, damn, girl. Damn. That's the Avatar? That's like a fuck for hire. The way she's beating up these people. So anyway, fast forward, she gets arrested and then she joins, you know, this whole pro-bending thing comes out of nowhere because she's about to get arrested or whatever, and then she meets Bolin later, and then she joins the team. And when I first saw pro-bending, I thought, this is interesting. This is an interesting element. It's nice to see how bending has evolved into a sport. Definitely, I like this element. The game itself gave me, you know, we both said this before.
Yep.
It reminded us of Final Fantasy X.
Indeed.
For those Final Fantasy fanboys out there, reminded me of that game that game they're playing underwater. But anyway, that's that.
What was that
digressing a
called?
bit.
Anyway, sorry. Yeah, go on.
I can't remember. That's why just move on. But it was cool. But you know, I heard this series was 12 episodes, right? When this pro bending thing started, it took up like 2 episodes, and by then they've already established Amon and the Equalists and this whole thing. So when they threw this bending thing for 2 episodes, I'm thinking, okay, you know, what is this going to be about? This is book 1. No, actually, at the time, everyone thought this was the only season. So it really felt like a waste of time, and the focus of the show was not very good. You know, the pro bending was a good idea, but if it wasn't going to be a big element of the show, why they have so many episodes about it? Mm-hmm. You know, it was not good storytelling in that sense, and they mixed that with the love element, and oh my God, let me, you know, you talk about that bit, because when they introduced Korra, Mako, and his brother, and Bolin, and the love element, you please talk about how that came about and how you feel about that.
I think what happened was Korra was interested in pro bending before, I believe, she actually came to the city, and she obviously heard it on the radio, and she wasn't allowed to go to it. But obviously, as Korra does what she wants to do, she kind of ran off without Tenzin's approval to go and watch a pro bending fight, I guess, or battle. So basically, she got behind the scenes and she got speaking. I think Bolin noticed her and then basically supposedly fell for her straight away and said she could come, you know, back behind the scenes and see how it all starts and blah blah blah. So that's how she got to meet Mako and Bolin. Mako was not.
Yeah, I totally messed it up, by the way.
Yeah, that's fine. No, it's not a problem.
I totally messed it up, people. So Nuance just corrected me. No need for flame comments. Carry on, Nuance.
Yeah, so literally that's how they met all together, and then one thing led to another. One of the pro benders that Mako and Bolin were working with kind of left, and obviously Korra just was like, "Hey, I'll get in there," and and she did, and then it was kind of revealed that she was the Avatar. I don't even know what to say about this love thing, because it is so freaking annoying, and I've already gone on about how ridiculous I think it is. But basically, Bolin likes Korra. Korra likes Mako. Mako is a confused punk and got knocked over and started to like Asami. So that's how it works. No. Bolin actually confessed to Mako first that he liked Korra, And Mako, the punk, turned around and was like, she's too much for you, or something like that. Why do you have to deal with girls? And I think she's too much for you anyway. And then I think at some point, Bolin actually said, what do you like her? And then he was like, oh, I don't even know. Yeah, so that conversation happened before Korra spoke to Pema, which is Tenzin's... Is Pema Tenzin's wife?
I don't know. Don't remember.
Yeah,
But anyway,
sorry.
carry on.
Korra then confesses to Pema that she likes Mako, and then Pema kind of says to her, you should just tell him. So then Korra decides to tell Mako straight away that she likes him.
But by that time, Mako had already been going out of Asami and shuts her down straight away.
By
Right?
that time, Mako's already got his new clothes on, you know. He's been washed, dressed, and he's pimped out. So at that point, he's like, I do care about you, but not like that.
Yeah.
So then
But then later, sorry to cut you, but let's do this together. But then later, Korra decides, you know what? Since I got turned down by one brother, I might as well give this bowling guy a chance.
I mean, it's a little bit... I mean, Bolin does ask her, and, you know, was like, oh, let's go out, you know, as you guys do. And she kind of was like, oh. And then he says to her that something like, oh, you know, you're a lot of fun to be around and let's just have fun. And she's like, oh, you think I'm fun? Because she just got shut down by Mako. And then she's like, okay, let's go on a date. So that's how it kind of happened.
This all happens in one episode, by the way.
Yeah.
And then, after the date, I don't even remember, because this is the same episode. I think Mako when she saw Korra and her brother having a good time, he started thinking, maybe I do like her.
Yeah, basically what happened was, because this is how stupid the episode was, because they were still in the semi-finals, I believe, of the pro-bending battle in between all this stuff happening. So this just shows how fast the episodes are going. So basically, in between the battles, they're having a little break, and then Korra and Bolin go out, and they have a good time. And then basically, I might be getting this bit a little bit mixed up, but Mako doesn't kind of like it, and then says, that's my brother, and don't mess about with my brother. But obviously, he's jealous. And one thing leads to another, and, you know, Korra kind of Mako confronts Korra again about dating my brother, and then she's like, you're jealous.
And then Korra sits her tongue in his mouth, right?
Yeah, and then he kisses her back. And then...
It's going to be so heartbreaking, you know, because the brother walks in, he sees his brother, the brother that he confessed to, that the girl I liked, you're kissing the girl that I told you I liked. And I'm thinking, oh, man, this is so heartbreaking.
Got flowers in his hand and everything, you know, typical scene.
And then you know what you hear? You hear... And he starts crying like a 4-year-old baby. And it was so funny.
It was ridiculously funny, but you know what? Before it was funny, it was shocking, and then it was funny. I had never seen tears come out of a grown cartoon face in my life, if that makes any sense. Like, it reminds me of when you're watching anime and, you know, a baby starts crying and the tears like well up in the corner of the eyes and it rolls down the cheeks. You know?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Bolin did. And I was absolutely shocked.
Yeah. You know what? I was really impressed how they turned that into a comedic moment, because, you know, everyone would expect that to be like, oh, damn, he's going to walk away. He would walk away in silence and just be pissed, and that'll bring a whole element of, you know, some anxiety between the brothers. But no, that doesn't happen. Instead, what happens is he sees them, he cries like a bitch, runs off, and then later, this is the most perplexing thing, the whole thing is brushed off. Because basically, after Korra kisses Mako, he's like, stop this, I'm with someone else. And then Mako and Korra Korra and Bolin have a conversation, and then she's like, I'm sorry, I'm confused. And he's like, okay. The brother comes and they all look at each other, and then Korra says, you know what? Let's just get on with the game, and we'll figure this out later. And that's it. Everything's left up in the air from there. No discussion, no resolution. Everyone is just left there. Next episode, the only continuity it has is they don't get along. there's they're all out of balance in the next.
Oh no. By the time they say let's get on, let's just get along, I think they've actually made up and they win that battle, don't they? The end battle. I think so anyway, but it might not be. I'm not sure. But anyway, it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't. You know what? Even I'm getting confused. The main thing that surprised me was the whole kissing thing, the whole cheating thing. First of all, never came up. And actually, I think Bolin actually... this is how I can really get in. Bolin and Mako have a conversation because he's upset that he's kissing his girl.
Yeah. What happens is he goes to a restaurant and he eats himself into a drunken state. Does that even make sense? And he's like, oh my God. Well, yeah, he's like, oh my God, please. Oh, you know how much I liked her. Oh, I feel so sick. And then he's like, oh, come on, let's go. There. I'm just like, all right, on a serious note, yeah? On a serious note, considering that these characters are in their late teens, this is absolutely ridiculous.
Thank you. You're putting this in perspective because a lot of people are saying, you're thinking about this too much. It's Nickelodeon. If they were children, if they were like, even if this was the last Airbender and that happened, which could have happened in the last Airbender, it would have been more believable because this is some childish bullshit going on here.
I don't want to bring up the last Airbender at this point, but I will say that it could have happened between Katara Aang and that guy that she liked.
Yeah, I can't remember
that guy's name either. It could have happened there, but this is the really surprising thing. The relationships in The Last Airbender were more adult than the relationships in Legend of Korra.
And those kids were under 15.
This is absolutely ridiculous. There is no real way that a hot-headed, pubescent male, would allow his brother, to get in the way of a girl he likes and go and eat freaking noodles and and get drunk on them and think it's okay and then hug, kiss.
And there's no confrontation, there's no nothing. And people just look over this like, meh. Really?
I don't really feel... I think it's extremely bad writing.
And this is the beginning. You would think that, okay, you want to say don't want, you guys are you're going on and on about this, man. You know what? This might have been something I could have looked over. But oh no, the love triangle bullshit continues. This shit goes up through the end of the series anyway. So they don't even stop there. This is just the two brothers thing. That was bullshit. That was strike one. And it continues. But let's move on.
Because we could go on about this forever.
Let's move on. But I have to, if you guys haven't noticed, it is the thing I hate the most about the series. I can't, and the ending. These two things I almost hate equally as much. But anyway, alright, so let's put the love element to the side. Let's get back to the storyline. Let's get to the pacing. We've made comments about the pacing. They're focusing on, they start with the equalist thing, then they move to the pro-bending thing, which is mixed with the romance. Then they introduce Tarlok. Mm-hmm. Because Tarlok is trying to hunt down Ammon, yeah? But he's a villain too. So it feels like they're trying to make another subplot where you got the bad politician doing things to benefit himself.
Well, I think Tarlok really was trying to take over Republic City and probably become the governor, And I think the whole Ammon thing that came up was a good opportunity for him to get one over on Tenzin and try to get one over on Tenzin and try to bring his authority to the forefront and take control. So he saw it as an opportunity.
Just a little point I want to bring up. Tenzin and
Tarlok.
Yeah. They're part of a board, right?
They are indeed.
There's 4 people on that board, right?
Really? Yeah, there are 4.
Mm-hmm. Who are the other 2 characters again in that board?
How the hell am I supposed to know who that is?
Those characters, this is what I mean by badly written, really badly written. Going back to Last Avatar, because these are the same people that created it, so sorry, I have to keep on going back. In Last Avatar, when you went to another nation and you were dealing with the kings or the governors of the nation, you got to see the person. Even like in the last Airbender, you got that stupid Earth King that didn't even know what was going on.
Yeah.
But at least you see him. You knew him, his mind. He was stupid. You understood that. These other two characters that are the head of a public city, as well as Tenzin and Tarlok, you don't hear them speak.
I think there
All
was
they do-
3, but I'm not even sure. But yeah, go on.
I think there was one for every nation.
Okay.
Earth, Wind, Fire, and Water. Because anyway, yeah, I think there was only 4 of them.
Okay.
Other 2 never spoke. All they did was side with
Tarlok. Yeah.
every time.
Every single time.
Bad writing.
Terrible writing.
Just leave that on the side because it's just pathetic. It's really they're meant to represent every nation, even though they're all part of one city. They never speak. All they do is side with Tarlok. They never. It's just ridiculous. But anyway, that's just call it a nitpick if you want. I call it a plot hole, but fine. So anyway, moving along again. It's very hard. It's funny. We're talking about this a lot. It's only book 1. This is only 12 episodes, and a lot of people said they crammed so many different storylines, so many different aspects or elements that could have been seasons alone into one show.
Indeed, yeah.
And that is basically why this is so hard for us to rush
It's
through this.
so hard to review. I find this a really difficult one to review because there is so much in such a
They've
short
thrown
period of
so
time.
many things in,
Yeah.
and they've done them all wrong.
Yeah.
And they're full of plot holes.
Yeah.
What were they thinking?
I don't know. I want to know.
You see Amon in episode 1, you don't see him for 2 episodes. Then he comes, he goes. Fair enough, I like Amon because he's a threat, he's something you can't see. I really like that. But then, you're not sure who he is, what he is, blah, 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 blah. Fast forward. You know what? Before we fast forward, because we can kind of wrap this up now, let's talk about Korra some more. Oh, boy.
Okay.
Oh, boy. Korra. Okay. So as the series progresses, it seems like the whole thing is she needs to learn airbending, okay?
Yeah.
Fine. The series progresses, they lose focus as far as I'm concerned because they bring in the pro bending, the love element. Yeah, these 2 things they start taking up episodes.
Yeah.
Where's the airbending training?
Gone.
You get to see her training.
Once.
She's no good at training. She's not making any progress. So as I see, this doesn't change through even episode 8, 9, no progress. But hey, guess what? She starts having these flashbacks. These flashbacks of older Aang, something's going on, and it seems to be linked with Amon's ability to take away people's powers. So now everyone, at the time, I remember everyone was getting hyped. Everyone's got their theories. What's going on? What's going on? Anyway, so as the series progresses, Amon captures Korra a couple times, and the thing I love about Amon, I think he captures Korra twice. The first time, he's just about to take her powers, and he's like, "No, I'll deal with you later," and that scares the shit out of Korra. She's scared of Amon. She's scared of losing her powers. That's cool. Love Amon for that. Love that he's an essence of fear.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So as the series progresses, around episode 9, I think episode 9 or 10, I can't remember. Big plot twist. Korra and Tarlok have a great fight. This is one of the best fights
best fight
in the Legend of Korra, yeah?
Definitely.
Now, before we get, because I'm trying to speed through this a little bit, but before we move on, just want to mention something about that fight. Because we and you, we both spoke about this episode. Korra, her aggressiveness in this fight against Tarlok is a bit too much.
A bit too much?
A bit too much. Because he's just a waterbender. You're the Avatar, yeah? I think at that point, Tarlok had arrested her friends and she wanted to get them out of jail. And, basically Tarlok's like, you better do as I say.
And Tenzin told her, he put them in jail, and Tenzin said to her, he will get them released in the morning. So just let it go, let everybody calm down, morning gonna come, I'm gonna get them out. But that wasn't good enough for Korra.
No, she's impatient. It's part of her personality, fine. So her and Tarlok start having a fight, right?
And he does attack her first.
But let me tell you something, man. She's meant to be the Avatar. You know what I mean? She really went on the offensive. And there's a point where she's beating the hell out of this guy. She's totally destroying him. And there's a bit where he's hanging on a ledge, and she knocks him off the ledge.
I mean, it's funny. I have to talk about that bit a little bit more. It's fun. That bit's so weird, funny to me because they show you two different views of the ledge he's hanging off. She knocks him off the ledge, and the first view you see him like hanging off the ledge, like hands first, and then the head and blah blah, and then the body. And it's like he's coming from it looks like a really far drop. Yeah. And then they show another angle where it's not that far, but it's gonna bloody hurt when he drops. Yeah, and you actually feel that okay, this is enough, isn't it? Like okay, you've beaten him now. But like you said, no, it ain't enough. She blows him apart, and he just falls on the floor. Basically, comes off the ledge or whatever that he was hanging onto. Then anybody would think that's enough. He's done. But no, Don. What happens next?
She jumps down to the bottom floor because they're like in a church or something, and she starts walking towards him like she's gonna kill him.
And he's cowering back.
He's cowering back, and she's like, "What do you think of the weak Avatar now?" And I'm like, "Korra, when are you going to stop? Haven't you beaten him up enough?" Now, I know a lot of people listening are thinking, "Why are you guys criticizing that scene? That scene was cool." I'm like, "It was cool, yeah, but I'm looking at her character like, what are you doing? What is your goal here?
Exactly.
You want your friends out, but beating him to death what's that going to actually accomplish? There's nothing in her brain that says I should stop now, or what is the end game here? It made no sense for her to beat him to a pulp. So as far as I'm concerned, the next thing that happens is is like, wow. Basically, she starts getting blood bended. Yeah, and it's like, wow, this guy can blood bend. But I tell you what, man, from my perspective, it was self-defense.
Oh, you damn right it was self-defense, because you talking about beating him to a pulp. He was already pulped, right? His hair was disheveled. That man was gone, and she was still coming, and she was coming for blood. And this is the thing I did not like about Korra, because even in the first fight that she had with those two, like, thugs, there was a bit where she beat them up, and they were driving away, yeah? And to me, that is the point, as when if you're a hero, yeah, to me that is the point that if you are a hero, you stop, because they are now driving away. They have now run away. What does Korra say? You ain't getting away. She says it blatantly. You ain't going nowhere. And she pursues to the point of unnecessariness, if that is even a word. It was OTT, the way that she goes. And then even...
And don't forget she threw someone through a window in that episode as well.
And then even to the point where when the authorities came and said, oh, you're arrested too, she was like, I saved them. I helped these people. And they're like, yeah, and you destroyed the whole city as well. Half of the city, because you wouldn't let them go. And this is my problem with Korra, is the fact that the girl don't know when to stop. She just want to go on and fierceness. And it kind of, I said this to you before, it reminds me of Wonder Woman, in a sense, in the Justice League. Because Wonder Woman is like meat and potatoes. She don't see anything else but that's my enemy, and I'm just going to kill them. I don't even care. To the point where, what was the thing we were watching?
What, that Justice League movie?
Yeah, what was the Justice League movie?
Oh, it's the most recent Justice League movie. It's called Doom, or something like that, and it's the one where all of the Justice League are getting destroyed. All of them, basically, their worst fears are coming out. It's a great movie. You guys should watch it.
Yeah,
but,
and there's
I can't remember the name of it right now. It's called Doom or something.
And there's a bit in it where Wonder Woman is going against an attacker, yeah? Like she's been injected, and she's going against this one attacker, but everybody around her basically looks like the same person, the one person she's attacking, if that makes sense. And to the point where she can't stop. She can't, in her head, she can't think to herself, this can't be the same person. All these people around me can't be the same one person I'm fighting. And to the point where even when one of her Justice League companions comes up to her and says, look, it's me, I know what you're seeing, but it's not real. She's like, I know, but I can't stop. And it's like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like,
yeah, I mean, to summarize what you're saying, I think it shows a weakness in her character where she's just like a dumb brute. To be
She
honest with you.
is so aggressive to the point where I found it slightly hard to watch, and I wondered if where she would stop. Like, I wanted to know if Tarlok did not bloodbend her, what would have happened?
Oh yeah, I'm very interested. You know, people, you should just watch that fight scene on YouTube and see what we're saying, and see if you don't think she was going to take the fight to the next level, because she just lost sight of who she was, and I just thought it was totally out of character, even for her. Even though we're just getting to know her, I just thought I was actually disappointed. But hey, people are thinking you're crazy, though. Why can't you just enjoy the fight? You're thinking you are. But to be honest with you, for looking at it from a character perspective, especially since the Avatar is meant to be all about balance, that shows how off balance. And to be honest, it was the pinnacle of me knowing this girl needs some serious character development, because she is lacking in restraint. Above a lot of things, she has no restraint whatsoever. But anyway, let's fast forward. So long story short, she gets bloodbended into a metal box, and boy, this is where I got to make another complaint. This is where I'm going to make a complaint I haven't heard anyone really make. You know, the Legend of Korra, I think a mistake it made is it banks so much on The Last Airbender. And this is what I mean. When I first heard about The Legend of Korra, I actually thought it was going to be set 200 years in the future, where Aang would be a distant memory, you know, but I understand that they want to pay homage to the last series. There's a big statue of Aang, you always see it in the opening, fine. The show is littered with characters from The Last Airbender. Tolsen, Katara's in it, even though she's elderly, she's probably going to die. You always hear about these people's kids, you know, some of the characters in are people's kids. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But then, you see this episode we're talking about now where Korra gets in the box? This is where they just went one step too far, because you start seeing flashes of Aang. And I'm thinking, that's cool. And you would think that, you know, as the Avatar, people, you get flashes of your past lives and stuff like that. So, you know, it seems like it's part of the storyline. But I always think, especially from watching The Last Airbender, whatever's going to happen, she's going to somehow learn something from the Avatar or the experiences. So what you learn from that episode is this little mini storyline about Tarlok's father, who was a mobster, and Aang tried to get him arrested. Everyone tried to get him arrested because he was a big mobster. And you soon find out he's a bloodbender. He bloodbends the whole court, and Aang has to chase him down and remove his powers. So when, you know, Korra understands what's going on, to me, that dream didn't really serve much purpose, because it was just a flashback to Aang doing his thing. And obviously she get to find out, from there she found out how Tarlok was a bloodbender, because obviously that guy must be his dad, the gangster. So that's all she got from that dream was, okay, now I know how Tarlok is a bloodbender. Okay. Is that it? Then later she escapes. I'm going to get into how she escapes and they find her. And she tells them that Tarlok is the one that bloodbended, and then that's the end of that. Okay. Anything else, Aang? Any other thing you want to teach her? No. Oh, sorry. And one more thing I should have said from the very beginning. All through the series, she was struggling to meditate. At that episode, when she's in the box, all of a sudden, just like that, she connects with Aang. Just like that. What?
I mean, you know, I found it ridiculous. I found the writing just bad writing, because, you know, I just believed that, obviously I was talking about how aggressive she was and how, you know, physical she was. And so in a way, even though I was complaining about that fight scene, and I still stand by what I said, because I know that she's not spiritual, I was kind of thinking, well, this girl has got a long way to go before she connects to her spiritual side, because she's so physical. Yeah? But then to see her in a box and just go, oh yes, right, I've been told that if I just sit and meditate, then Aang will talk to me. Okay, let's just do that. And not even 30 seconds. Yeah? She was like, bing, and she was in that state. I was like, this is a mockery to everything that actually Aang stands for, because he himself, being a spiritual person, had loads of problems connecting and moving and things like that in the spiritual world and things like that. Even he had a lot to understand about the spiritual world. So for you, somebody who's the polar opposite, completely different from Aang, to just be able to go bing and connect to your spiritual side, I just thought, okay, then so what the hell is the point? Then this is absolutely ridiculous. So where's the character development? There's no character development at all. There's no struggle. There's no push. Everything is being handed to you on a plate. Yeah, and
this is episode 10 about now. So there's 2 episodes left now.
I mean, and actually, like you said, what was revealed to her had no connection at that point with Ammon, and there is no way she would have been able to know what connection that has to do. There's no way that she would be able to know how that had anything to do with Ammon. Nobody knew how that had anything to do with Ammon. So to me, that little flashback thing was really a piece of pants, because she already knew that Tarlok was a bloodbender. Who gave a shit who his father was? He's a bloodbender. Now they probably didn't even need a flashback to figure it out, to be honest. They probably could have read a book about, there was this incident. The last bloodbender was a guy who bloodbended the whole court. Is that not written in a book somewhere? Exactly. Why would they not have that on file? Indeed,
on file somewhere.
Why
So to be honest with you, it was a pointless flashback. As soon as she bloodbended him, that was all she needed to know. They didn't even need the flashback at all. Yeah,
it's forbidden. He's a bloodbender. Who cares? So he's a bloodbender. And his dad is blah blah. Oh my God! What? Who cares? You think that man's gone anywhere? Who cares? What connection does that have to the actual real antagonist? None.
It was nice to see Aang again, though.
And this is what I was going to say. Sorry, I'm going to have to bring it up again. The reason why we have no choice but to keep on going back to Aang, to the Last Airbender, is because they never let us forget it. They never let us forget about Aang. Even if you wanted to forget about Aang, there's no way you could forget about Aang.
But hey, we're being really biased. Here's a question. I thought there was more than one airbender, more than one avatar for her to go back and learn things from. Because in the last Airbender series, wasn't Aang learning from all the different avatars? So why do they keep on shoving Aang in our face?
I mean, here's the thing, when we look back on that, Aang had his spirit guide, who was Avatar Roku, and he was when he went into that room and he saw all the avatars, they did say to him one of them would be your spirit guide. You know what I mean? So that actually means to me that it could have been anybody. It didn't actually have to be Aang, that was her spirit guide. And I cannot actually say that Aang was her spirit guide, because she never actually had a spiritual connection, a conversation with him, and I'm going to say she never had one.
She never had a conversation with Aang.
No, she never did.
He just showed her things.
Yeah, she never had a conversation with Aang. And if someone's going to tell me at the end she did, I'm going to say, I'm going to call bullshit, because she didn't.
Oh, no, that was a conversation.
No, that wasn't a conversation.
That was a visit. That was a special home. That was like a doctor visit.
That wasn't a conversation. That was a gift.
We'll get to that.
But anyway, So to me, from the beginning, they would not let us forget about Aang, and I had a big problem with that, because that means I could not connect fully with Korra, because you're always telling me about Aang and Aang's legend and Aang's this and Aang's this, and this is what Aang would want. This is what Aang. I'm just like, I don't want to hear about Aang anymore. If you're going to bring Korra into this and say this series is called The Legend of KORRA, which I know we're going to go into as well. Boy, this podcast is going to be long, right? But
and it's only book 1.
I tell you. But if you're going to bring that in as well, then why are we not concentrating on Korra? I would have preferred to see Aang as more of a spirit guide, talking to Korra, trying to help her get over her issues that she would have, trying to connect spiritually, than what they actually did. And they only brought Aang in so that we would not forget him, and we would think, we would have a feeling of nostalgia, like, there's Aang, oh, look, he's grown up, oh. And I didn't appreciate it.
Okay. No, let's finally move on because let's just get to the end now because it's just so funny, man. Through all our talking, all our moaning, all our rambling, the character development is nothing for Korra, and this is nearly the end of the show. What has she learned? Nothing. She didn't learn anything from Aang. Aang never had a conversation with her. She hasn't learned anything about airbending. Nothing. Her training has been totally has made no progression at all with airbending training.
Nothing.
Let's all
None.
be on the same page about that.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 10. If you want to look past that, wow. But hey, you know what? Fine. Last 2 episodes, double episode. Endgame and I forgot the episode 11. This episode, talk about surprises, man. Talk about surprises. Like, wow. I felt like I got slapped in the face with this episode. This episode, you know, let's just say it focuses on resolving the whole Amon situation. And, you know, this episode was a joke. It really was, man. It was. You think the series was fast paced? They just wanted to wrap shit up. Looking at this shit in retrospect, they just said, "You wrap it up everything.
Quick.
Wrap it up, people, because we're done." Amon, the reveal for Amon. Do you know what? This whole thing about him being Tarlok's brother, I like the character and the character itself, who Amon is. I like that, and his backstory. It's not bad. I'm not even going to say that I didn't like that. It was a good backstory. It didn't fit Amon. It didn't fit the character that is now Amon. On top of that, another big plot hole. Didn't even go into details how him also being a waterbender equals him being able to take away people's powers. How does that work? No, they didn't explain it. Okay. Alright, so that is, to me, it didn't match. But maybe I could just look over that and say, okay, I just need to accept that's who Amon is. Fine. Alright, at the end, Amon starts looking for Korra because he wants to take away her powers. She's hiding under a table. And then he finds her and he finally takes away her powers. As soon as that happened, I started thinking, now I can see where season 2 is going to start, because she's going to have to get her powers back, and they're going to have to find out the secret to Amon's, you know, taking away bending powers, and she's going to have to become the Avatar from scratch, like Aang. Okay. Then Korra's little boy toy comes on Mako and starts going toe to toe with Amon. And Amon's like kind of laughing, like, you know, you're rubbish, you're weak, ha ha ha. The fight is a bit extended because I don't know why, but Amon decides to play with him for a little bit.
Yeah, because Mako actually electrocutes him, and Amon is in awe, saying that, oh, no one's ever got that close to me before. It's a shame that I'm going to actually have to take away your powers. Sorry, I got to cut you again. Sorry.
Don't apologize.
Mako picked up Korra and was running away with her. So he was basically trying to grab her because she was weak from losing her powers. And so he was running down the corridor, and then Amon came out and kind of bloodbended them both and kind of dragged Mako back to take away his powers. It was something like that. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Yeah, it's becoming a blur the more I think about it. But anyway, this is the part I do remember, and I'm sure the part nobody forgets. So, as it looks like Amon's got Mako in a grip, and it looks like he's about to take his powers, the miracle happens. Do you know what happens? You know what I say?
I know what happens for love. It happened for love.
The power of love. Oh, you know, rest in peace, Whitney Houston. But if you was alive, I know you would sing a song for this moment. You know, she would sing a song because Korra, thanks to the power of love and no training whatsoever, her airbending comes out. And to quote another YouTube reviewer that I'm sure some people know, her airbending just doesn't come out. It comes out in full power. You know what I mean? It comes out and then she starts knocking the shit out of Amon. And, you know, she doesn't have any other power, just airbending. She's fucking knocking him left, right. And then she gives him a nice big push out the window. And then Amon lands in the water. Wow. Korra's finally mastered airbending. Although she's lost all the other powers, she's got airbending. So now I'm thinking, I don't like how this just happened, but I like the twist because she lost everything else, but she's got airbending. Okay, I'm like, I can appreciate that. Still a bit lame, but I can appreciate that. What I don't appreciate is when Amon's in the water, he kind of looks like he's gonna choke or something, and then he comes up from the water, and guess what? His mask comes off and his makeup comes off, and when he arises, everyone on the port can see him. Oh my god! And then he rises above the water with his waterbending power. Oh my god, look! He's a waterbender! So all that anti-bending shit he was talking about, that was bullshit. Oh my god! Korra, you're right! And, in a nutshell, I'm not being a bit of an idiot coming on like that, but in a nutshell, she exposes Amon to be a fraudulent, a liar. So I guess what they're trying to say is, because he's a hypocrite, all of the equalist shit is over. Or at the minimum, they've lost their leader. And then what does Amon do? He swims off like a bitch. Like a tail, like a dog with a tail between his legs, just walks off. Like, this is Amon. What, just because he got caught, the guy's got no dignity, he has to swim away like a bitch? Oh, okay, what else could he have done? Nothing. He had to go, he had to run away. Alright. Lame. Terrible. Hated it. Really, I just thought it was really bad. And more bad writing. On top of that, it was just rushed. Why did it go that way? Why did they have to expose Amon like that? Why couldn't he just fall in the water and disappear?
Yeah.
Why did they have to expose him? So he's totally irrelevant now. Why did they do that? Why did they write him off that way? I thought that was bad. Let's just fast forward to episode Amon later. Wow. Then, I don't even remember how. Amon decides to run away with his brother Tarlok on a boat. They're like, let's start a new life somewhere else. Let's just move away. Blah, 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 blah. This is mind-boggling what happens next. Tarlok decides, you know what? Let's just both die. And he basically uses an electric glove down the fuel tank to blow up the boat. You know what? That's mine. I don't even know what the fuck they were thinking with that. What was that about? They're probably, they're probably not dead anyway. But why would you even allude to them killing themselves? And I actually thought that was one of the most bizarre scenes in the whole show, because why are you showing, it's Nickelodeon and you're showing people committing suicide or even attempting to commit suicide? What?
I mean, the end was absolutely terrible. The Amon and Korra fight was weak. And the way that the whole Amon and Korra meeting, I thought was really weak. And I thought that it was badly written, because considering what a superior strategist Amon was, especially when the Fire Nation or the army, the Fire Army came along and he basically annihilated them all. The fact that Korra could catch him in such a vulnerable place like that, as well as catching Tenzin and his family, which absolutely made no sense whatsoever how that actually happened.
But aren't they airbending masters as well? He beat Tenzin's an airbending master, and you couldn't beat Korra, who just learnt the skill. So you're saying that Korra is better than Tenzin?
But even him capturing Tenzin and his family actually made no sense, because when they were actually fleeing the city, Lin Beifong sacrificed herself for the family, and the last blimp you saw turn away and go. So unless something fell out of the sky, unless Amon can turn himself into a cloud or something, how the hell did he capture them? It made no sense whatsoever.
Oh, you're talking about the scene where Lin Beifong helped them escape. She sacrificed herself to make them escape.
Yes.
But the next episode, Amon caught them anyway.
Amon caught them anyway.
And they didn't show how that happened. And
then, so the last meeting the last meeting with Korra and Amon was stupid, because the whole pro-bending thing anyway, the fact that he was able to get in there and destroy that whole pro-bending the last tournament, I don't understand why he would leave himself so open to do a rally in the middle of the city and all this bullshit when he hadn't even really caught Korra, anyway. So that was lame to me. It just didn't make any sense. But to tell you the truth, I wasn't really surprised as soon as he took away. I was surprised he took away Korra's bending. That I was surprised about. But when he actually took away her bending, I knew what was going to happen next. It was freaking obvious. I'm sorry. To me, it was bloody obvious that was going to happen. And when she said, I can airbend, I was like, oh, God, pass me the spinach. You know what I mean? She literally just turned into freaking Popeye. It was unbelievable. And I just hated it. I thought it was really, really, really lame. And they actually made Amon Monster of the Week at the end of the series.
Oh, yeah. All of that build-up, all of that greatness, that puppeteering, all of his planning, all ends in one episode.
Yeah, it ends in one episode. It became Monster of the Week. And the worst thing about it was everything that he stood for, all the questions that were relevant and real and needed to be answered about the non-benders all went to shit. They just decided we're not going to answer any of these questions. What we're going to do is just turn Amon into a bender and then we'll just kill him. Or
I actually suspect that in season 2 the Equalist thing will still be around, because just because Amon's gone, I don't see how any of that should be resolved, because it wasn't. But the way they did it, it was just so poor.
I'm sorry. Amon was a great antagonist, yeah? And for me, I know you're saying you didn't mind his backstory, but for me, when I found out he was a no-name, yeah, no attack, no talk, whatever, I was like...
No attack, funny.
Yeah, no attack. Yeah, might as well, innit? I was just like... What's the point of you giving me his name? I don't know who he is. I don't have no connection with him. I don't have no connection with his family. And to me, what I didn't like was the fact that I really felt that Amon should have been in the inner circles. If you're going to keep on bringing Aang into this and blah, 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 as they did all the way through the series anyway, it should have been someone that we as watchers could have had a proper connection with. When they started talking about Amon and no attack and blah 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 blah, and his dad was a stupid mobster, and it made no freaking sense. He got his face changed. I mean, what the hell is this? And moved off to the flipping island and married a waterbender. I was just like, I have no connection to him. I don't know who he is. I don't feel anything. There's no surprise. You've just made him blah to me. So blasé. I have no connection with him as a character. So I didn't like it. I did not like it at all.
You know what, Nuance? I think I've seen the light. I think me and you are thinking about this too hard. Why couldn't we just sit back and enjoy it? Why do we have to look at all the plot holes and the weird character developments? And why couldn't we just sit back and watch these things, Nuance? What is wrong with us?
I wanted to enjoy it. This is the problem. You know what? People are going to hate, and to tell you the truth, I don't really give a shit. Everybody has their opinion, and I have mine. And this is my opinion. And my opinion is that I was ridiculously disappointed. At the beginning, yeah, I wanted this to be great. Everybody knows I love...
Well, wait. You're jumping the gun, okay? I know it's disappointing, all right? But look, Amon's gone. But look on the bright side, okay? Korra has only got airbending, all right? She has to learn her other powers now. There's room for things to happen, So wait, there's 10 minutes left? 10 minutes left? Okay. Let's just see how it ends. Okay. So now at the end, we're going back to the dreadful love shit. Mako has now decided finally that, you know what? I do love Korra. So he has a little conversation with his girlfriend, which somehow got established somewhere down the line.
No, he doesn't. But anyway, go on.
I think he said something like,
I'll always care about you. But that was before they broke off into their sections. That was when she went off with Oli.
Well, we never said that anyway, so we need to bring that up anyway.
Yeah.
So now they're at, 10 minutes to the end of the whole series, people. They're all at the Wind place,
No, they're at Takara's
okay.
place. They took Korra to Katara's, wherever Katara is, to see if they could heal her so she could get her powers back. Her bending back.
Now, Korra is in tears. She's totally miserable. Why? Because she'd lost most of her powers, even though she's got airbending now, and she's so miserable. You know, it's like someone died. So Mako comes to comfort her, and he says, you know, I love you, Korra. You know, let's be together. Things will be okay. Korra starts crying, turns to Mako, and says, no, they won't. And then she runs off. And now I'm thinking, well, she's being a little bit overdramatic, but I guess I can understand her being upset over losing 3 of her powers, even though she got airbending. Yeah, it's not the you know, the best exchange, but you know, season 2 is just around the corner. I guess there's a lot of development there. So anyway, Sakura's standing at the end of a cliff or something, and she's crying, thinking, you know, woe is me, my life is shit, blah blah blah. What am I going to do? And then she has this one tear, this one golden tear that glistens in the sky and drops. And then all of a sudden, someone's walking next to her. And I think she says something like, oh, Tozen, like, not right now. You know, I'm feeling kind of low. And then you hear a voice. It's like, hey, I'm not Tozen. Guess who? Guess who, Korra? Guess who, Nuance? Who's standing next to Korra? No other than everybody's favorite airbender. Aang. Yes, Aang. Aang is in the flesh. And you know what he says? He says, Korra, well done. You finally reached rock bottom. And now that you've reached rock bottom, I got a surprise for you. You know what I'm going to do for you, Korra? I'm going to make all your problems go away. So Aang puts his hand on Korra, and then, you know, there's a light in his eyes. And you see all the other avatars behind Aang as well, like they're all doing something to her. Then all of a sudden, Korra starts to levitate. Levitate higher, higher, higher. Opens her eyes, obviously avatar state. I'm like, okay. Then what you see? You see all the elements coming from below her. Water, fire, earth, air. Then she lands. Who's standing behind her now? Mako. This all happens within 10 minutes. Then she runs up to Mako and kisses him. So everything's okay. Next scene you see is her healing Lin Beifong giving her back her powers. Yes, Korra. Not only has she achieved the avatar state, but she's got all of her powers back now. And then it ends. You know what? I'm not even gonna get. It's funny. Wow, man. Damn. These are the same guys that wrote all that good shit in the beginning and in the last Avatar. Now you wrap this shit up. This had that 5 minutes. She went from having no powers to having all of her powers and the Avatar state. Really? And you know, I read a comment when someone said that's what Avatar's about. This is what Avatar's about. Getting the other avatars to give, not even help you, not even to guide you, but to give you, literally give you your powers with no fucking training whatsoever. Bullshit. Total bullshit, as far as I'm concerned. Total bull. How can you tell me that is good story? How can you tell me that is good writing? It's not only a slap in the face to what the first show was about, which was about learning, evolving, meditation, elements, character development. Wow. You know what? You would think I'd be, I had nerd rage would happen. No. Really? Really? This is all that hype. All that hype. Everyone was jumping up about this is going to be legendary. This is the best show ever. And that's what you end on. And funny enough, the first thing you heard when you heard the Leog review, it was, I heard people complain about everything was wrapped up too nicely. Well, this is different. This isn't like the last Airbender. This is different. People should stop comparing it and just enjoy it for what it is. Let me tell you something, people. I can put this separately, yeah, away from the Avatar. It's bad writing. Forget the last Airbender. This is terrible writing on its own. That it gets that certification all on its own. If I hadn't even, I know this is impossible, people, but if I could forget the last Airbender and I just watched this and I saw that ending, I would have just been bullshit. And the thing that's perplexing, because I got nothing more to say about it, it was total shit, is that some people saw that ending and are still like, great, really? And then they're putting it on the level with The Last Airbender. And I know this is only book 1, so it's not fair for me to compare it against the end, but what? Nuance, let's wrap this up with your thoughts.
Fuck my thoughts, man. Like, fuck this.
That's what the writer said to me right there.
Fuck your thoughts. I'm God, and bitch you not.
You know what? Yeah, this is basically fuck my thoughts, because seriously, I wasn't angry. I was just rolling my head, and then, you know what's really funny? When I saw the tear coming, down, and it went down to her chin in slow motion and just fell off the chin, I actually thought maybe it would levitate or something, and maybe water would come back or something. Do you know what I mean? When I saw them feet coming towards her and I saw Aang, and then the funniest thing to me was when she turned around and she said, yeah, go away, Tenzin, I want to be alone. And then he was like, but you called me. And she was like, but how? And I was like, yeah, how the fuck did she call you? She don't even know how to call no one. She don't even know how to do nothing. How did she call you? She don't know how to meditate. She doesn't know anything. How the hell did she call? Atia called you when you're at your lowest. Please. I thought that was ridiculous. And in regards to The Last Airbender, Aang was at his had low points all the way through, and there was no time where Aang was at his lowest did anything like that happen. And in regards to the Avatar state, let's not only talking about her reaching the Avatar state, she had full control of the Avatar state. Yeah? Something that we had to wait for how many episodes in The Last Airbender for Aang to actually reach that. Yeah? Because the Avatar state is about connecting spiritually to all of the previous avatars. This girl can't even connect to her foot. Yeah? But she can connect to all the avatars by one tear. I thought it was horrifically bad writing. I thought it destroyed any sense of a next season. And I, for one, did not want to see her be like Aang in the sense of just have one bending and then have to develop that. I wouldn't have even minded if she didn't have any bending. I'm not being funny. I would have preferred it if she didn't have any bending, and the beginning of the first season, she's been struggling to sort out her spiritual side, to get herself onto another level. I think what was important, or what should have been important in the second series, is the fact that she starts to connect with her spiritual side. There's a whole different side that we have not seen, and I think it would, in a way, because she's so meat and potatoes, it would have been great if she didn't have any bending, even if it was for one episode, and we saw that struggle for her to try and connect more with her spiritual side, and then thus allowing her to connect with the people, actually the non-benders, because she has no connection to them at all. And the fact that she was just able to reach the Avatar state, control it on a level, and then give back bending, actually makes a mockery of the whole series, and the fact that, and the non-benders in the series as well. And I have to agree with, I know you're going to talk about Uber Makari later on, in regards to his review, but I have to agree with him, because it is basically by her being able to give back bending and not herself becoming a non-bender, so she can actually see, which actually, to think about it, for her becoming a non-bender would have been good, because then she would have been able to see what it's like to not bend. Do you see what I mean? And maybe that would have brought a better dimension. Her not having that at all, and just being able to give back bending, is just like saying, there, it is okay. Yeah, who cares about non-benders? Let's just bend, and who cares about them? They're second-class citizens. So, to me, I just did not like it. I thought it was a bad ending, a lame ending, and I believed that that Avatar spirits are supposed to be guides. They're not actually supposed to be people that give you whatever you want. And the first thing that Korra says, and it goes throughout the whole series, is, I never needed money. People just give it to me. I never needed someone to say, I just stay where I want. And she's always been given anything she wanted. Yeah? And I just didn't like it, basically. I could go on. We've gone on enough, but...
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I really hate to come off sounding like a fanboy. All seriousness, no anger, just honestly, I was really disappointed. These are the same guys that wrote Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is a masterpiece. And, I already admitted that it was a mistake for me to judge what I thought would be Americans copying anime to come up with a story, This basically, Korra is what I thought would happen when you try to copy anime. And you know what? I'm bashing on Korra a lot, but all right, we're going to move topic slightly. So before I go into that topic, how would you rate The Legend of Korra Season 1, Book 1?
I'm struggling between an acquired taste and watchable, to tell you the truth. That is really where I'm struggling with. Because if you want something fast-paced, which is not so much monster of the week, but like semi-monster of the week, and slightly confused and extremely fast, then I guess it's an acquired taste, isn't it? It's not watchable, But I can't. I've never done this before, but it's kind of 50-50 for me. It's between acquired taste and watchable.
I would really have a hard time recommending this to someone because, people, I'm an anime watcher, and I'll explain later, but to be in the grand scheme of things, Korra is like another anime show to me. And if I saw an anime with this exact storyline and it ended like this, I would have just been like, that was bullshit, and just brush it off, and I wouldn't mention it to anyone. But because it's America, and this is America's first try, and everyone's getting patriotic about it, and oh my god, it's so great, the anime's so great, blah, 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 blah. I have to take that into consideration, that yes, this is one of the best things America's ever done, even Korra. Even though I hated what they did with this story, it is the best of what they've done, and to be honest with you, it's still the gateway for people to watch more anime, more stuff like this, and it's even encouraging more Americans to do these kind of stories, so I have to see it ultimately as a positive thing, ultimately, but I know that doesn't make sense. My rating for it, though, is probably just an acquired taste. Based on the fact that I didn't enjoy it, it was too messy for me. It's not something I could watch again because it's just too mix and match. It's like getting a bag of sweets where every episode's different and there's no overall storyline, and it tries to wrap up everything in the end. It's just so messed up, so messy, And I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. I just wouldn't recommend it to anyone, especially some people that are biased towards cartoons, because this isn't going to help, And we're gonna move topic, but yeah, it's an acquired taste for me, straight up, simple as that. But we need to talk about we've bashed on the show, or let's just say we've given our opinions. You can consider it bashing if you want, but to be fair, even though we joked around, that's what I think. That's my opinion. That's Nuance's opinion. If you don't agree, that's fine. And believe me, I encourage comments. If you guys want to comment and discuss it, I'm all for it. You get what I'm saying? It's not a closed discussion. We can go on about this, and we can. I encourage the discussion. But let's move on and let's talk about the production of this, because this is interesting. Now, as many as you guys, many people might know, many people don't know, The Legend of Korra was originally meant to be a mini series. This is confusing for me, simply because The Legend, Avatar: The Last Airbender, or The Legend of Aang, if you want to call it that, it was successful, completely successful. It spawned the movie, even though the movie was shit. So you would think, if a series, another anime cartoon comes out of it, they would just go for the exact same number of episodes. But they wanted to go over a mini-series? Really? And maybe you could put the storyline down to being so chaotic because they didn't know how many episodes they were going to have. And bringing that up, when this series first started, apparently the creators thought they only had one season. Then someone down the line, they got the green light to do 2 seasons. Now, more recently, they've been told that they can get a whole 4 seasons. So, as a writer, can you imagine, you're trying to write a story, you're told you only got 12 episodes. So you try to write a one-shot story. Then you're told later, no, make a sequel. People like it. Then later, no, write 2 more seasons. How the fuck is someone supposed to work like this?
That's very true.
You know, I feel so. I do actually. You know, I was criticizing the show, but if they wrote it first as a mini series, then as one series, then they got told later to do 2. What? And funny enough, this is how American TV networks work, especially with TV shows. You always hear that your favorite show. Let's take House, for example. You know, they always base it on ratings. They get the green light 1 year, then halfway through the season, they're watching the ratings, watching how it goes, and then they decide if you're going to get another season. Now, as a writer, if you're writing a story on the fly, and the Legend of Avatar, the Avatar: The Last Airbender and the Korra, they're not based off books. These guys are writing it as they're going along, so they're waiting to get, the confirmation from the higher ups before they write more of the story. So once, your boss tells you only do 1 series, then finish it off. Then later, you know what? What? And this is meant to be a continuous story. And I've heard that a lot of people think when it comes back, it won't even be about Korra. It's going to be about Korra. It is. So what are they going to do? Are they going to just, now that the way it ended was so clean, even though it was done badly, it was a clean ending. Everything was resolved. What, are they going to undo everything they did to cause more conflict? I don't know. But ultimate and talking about the Legend of Korra, people, this is hilarious. Nickelodeon wanted to originally call it The Legend of Korra: The Last Airbender. Can you believe it? I actually feel sorry for Brian and Michael, is it?
Yeah.
I actually feel sorry for Brian and Michael, because you can even Wikipedia this. They were fighting Nickelodeon on calling it that. They already gave up the Avatar name, thanks to James Cameron, but they said Nickelodeon said, we want The Last Airbender in there because people are stupid and they won't draw the dots. What? Korra doesn't even, I don't even know when they wrote the story and pitched it to them if Korra was an airbender, because how would that title make any sense?
Exactly.
On top, and if she was the last airbender again, it's stupid, because you already had that storyline in the first show. So how? Anyway, long story short, a week before Korra aired, they decided to just go with the creator's idea and stick with the Legend of Korra. No doubt. I mean, how stupid do you think people are? And I'm really starting to think the reason why this show was so fucked up, in my opinion, is because of Nickelodeon. Because, and this is some more speculation that I've read on some magazine articles. Although Avatar: The Last Airbender was very successful, Nickelodeon, they weren't happy with the fact that it was a progressive story. Do you know why? Because they couldn't rerun it. Because if you try to rerun Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's a progressive story. It's you basically watch the middle. You're watching somewhere where you need to go back and watch something to understand the storyline. And for a network TV show, kids network like Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, they're more used to having shows like just a singled off episode. Just, the episode opens, ends. There's no to be continued. So, apparently, this is speculation, but I've seen a lot of people confirm this. Nickelodeon said, you know what? When you come with that next Avatar show, if you could kind of make every episode episodic, and that's what you have with Korra. A lot of the episodes feel like 2 episodes are about one thing, 2 episodes about another thing, then they go back to another thing, then they go forward to another thing, because they want to rerun it. Because it's easier for them to rerun it and make money that way. Bad decision. Bad decision.
Most definitely. It looks like they sucked the life out of the format of the show. It's obvious.
And when you look at the storyline, I have to give credit to the guys. The whole equalist thing, whole bending, these are good ideas. I don't fault them for the ideas. It's the implementation, the rushness, and the ending that are atrocious. And that ending doesn't. It feels like they were forced to write that. I have to admit, I just don't. I think these guys were forced to write it that fast. I just don't. How can I believe the first show was paced so well, The Last Airbender, that this time they fucked up so badly? It really feels like pressure from the network, you know.
And the worst thing is, like, book by book, the pacing is good. It's not only the series in its entirety. Like, each book, the pacing is great. So, just like you, I don't want to think of this as a fluke. Do you know what I mean? I mean, Avatar: The Last Airbender. I would rather think of The Legend of Korra as a fluke. And I am one of those people that would prefer that The Legend of Korra is left as it is and another Avatar story comes about. But obviously, as you have said, that it's probably not going to happen. You know, my issues is, everything you're saying I agree with, and I believe also that they must have been under an extreme amount of pressure to do the storyline this way, but the wrap-up was terrible, and even if you only knew you had 12 episodes, I'm sure it could have come out better than this.
The general consensus, if you go to Wikipedia and you go to the reception, everyone complained about the ending. The majority of people have said it was rushed. It's as clear as day, and I really don't think the writers are that blindsided to not see. I think they were rushed. You know, it's a shame, and you know, I'm not sure. The Legend of Avatar. Let's just call both shows The Legend of Avatar for now. Yeah, The concept for Avatar is really good, but it seems like a really adult themed show now. They're trying to. I don't know if they thought they were hitting all the demographics, but now, especially with Korra, the themes that we're hitting were more geared towards adults. I'm not even sure if I don't know if Nickelodeon's the right place for the show anymore. You know, I don't. I know it's going to hit. It hits broader on Nickelodeon because you get a lot of younger people on, and I would prefer on Nickelodeon. But if this is what's going to happen, if they continue to go with Nickelodeon and they're getting forced to write things a certain way, not the way they did the first time as a story, but as episodic, I'm not interested. I'm really not interested in that, it's a shame. And it just goes to see how they do things in Japan and how they do things in America, because most material anime is based off a manga. Yeah, they know what they're doing, they know the story, it's easier to write, they don't have pressure. In America, it's all about ratings. Ratings. You don't meet the ratings, you get cancelled. So everyone's always under pressure. The first Avatar was an experiment, which is maybe that's why they had a little bit more leeway, because, you know, they thought, let's just see how this goes. And as it was progressing, they thought, this works. But the second time, they wanted more input. Hey, if you tweak this, if you tweak that, maybe it'll work better. As far as I'm concerned, fail.
I know you're bringing up the whole manga and anime thing, but it happens in the anime as well, where, you know, it doesn't end the same as it did in the manga. It wasn't explained as well as it did in the manga. So, you know, that does happen. Come on.
It wasn't fair. Anime is not. You know what? Yeah, you guys need to understand. I'm sport for choice. Like, I wasn't blown away by Korra. The last Airbender. I wasn't blown away by Korra because there's so many anime like it. And I don't mean, I'm not saying in terms of storyline. I mean, people said the animation is amazing, blah, 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 blah. The animation is good, but I've seen this kind of thing before. Anime is on a level right now where it's really beautiful to look at in general. You know, most anime I watch are really beautiful. When I saw Korra, I was impressed that the Americans were doing it. But if I was watching the anime and I saw that level of animation, please, people, be honest. Would that really blow you away? No, it doesn't blow me away. I just thought that was nice. You know, that's what I expect from anime. It's really nice to see America doing that, though.
Yeah, and I liked the animation a lot. I really, really did. But I agree with what you're saying as well, that we watch anime and we're used to it, but I'm definitely going to appreciate what I see. And I appreciate seeing that, you know, on Cartoon Network. And I love the animation. That is one thing I loved. The two things that I loved, the animation and the voice actors. Love those.
The voice acting in Korra was perfect. It had that, my favorite guy, one of the most popular anime voice actors who played Amon. It's Steve Bloom. Yep. Sorry, I forgot. one of my favorite anime a lot of favorites for people. Did one of the voices of one of my favorite anime, Kazuma in Squaido. So anyway, let's just wrap this up, because we've gone on and on. I know a lot of people listening just thinking we're both anime lovers and we keep comparing it to anime. Ultimately, I just have to say this is a step in the right direction. It really is. I'm not interested in. I prefer anime just because the Japanese use animation to tell complex stories. When America does it, I love it as well. I love Justice League. I love Young Justice. I love all animation that they use complex stories. America is known for not really doing complex stories with animation. They do children's stuff, Disney stuff, or kind of just comedy, popcorn comedy, Family Guy, Simpsons, blah, 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 blah. Now they're doing more stuff like this. I'm very, very happy. Not just DC and Marvel stuff, because they're known for being more provocative and more imaginative, and I love those things as well. But that's why I love anime, and I love it. America's doing it too. I love it too. So it's all good. But yeah, Korra disappointing. And there was someone. The general consensus is people loved Korra. So ultimately, you want to say what me and you think is just really two people against a couple of thousand that find it.
Us against the world again, Don?
Us against the world, because there's even two people on Planet Tyro that gave it one Hall of Fame, one first class. My only criticism towards that is you're putting it on the same level as The Last Airbender in that case, and that doesn't make sense to me. But, that's your rating. I respect that at the end of the day. The only other person that I've seen give it an objective review that seems to think the way we do is Uber Hikari. Uber Hikari, a.k.a. the nerd nigger. I really wish he dropped that nerd nigger part, because it kind of takes away from what he's doing. But, whatever. Man, his analysis was perfect for this show. I hear a lot of people hated that review that he made. Hated it. But the people that hated it, they don't really comment on what he was saying was wrong, or try to invoke a discussion about it, or, the points why what he's saying is wrong or anything. So, and I went on his YouTube, you can see the comments. People are like, yeah, I guess you got a point, but I love it. A lot of people are just blinded by, this is America doing anime, and, it's a step in the right direction, and it is. And they're just willing to see past all the faults and just enjoy it. And if you want to do that, that's fine. I don't hate you for it. If you can do that,
then that's even better. I think you're
a lot of people are doing it.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of people that don't even watch anime that think this is phenomenal. And that is a good thing and a bad thing. It's good because you'll be open to anime. If you really like this kind of stuff, you should watch more Japanese anime, because I said this before, there's a lot of dubbed English anime you can enjoy. It doesn't matter where it came from. You just enjoy the story and enjoy the animation. But the bad side is, I hope this doesn't encourage more shit. Like, I don't want to see Cartoon Network coming out with something like Korra cheaply done. That would be bad. But like the collaboration titles I mentioned before, like the Boondocks and Samurai, Animatrix and Afro Samurai. Those are great examples of collaborating together, and that's all I want. More things like Korra of a good quality, more collaborations. People just watch good shit. Sorry, I know I came off so preaching this bloody episode, but I really didn't enjoy Korra. I'm very disappointed. After all that hype, people were just going on and on about it. People don't even want to criticize it. It's wrong. It's wrong. But, take what we said with a grain of salt if you want. And if you did get this far, I appreciate you listening. But, it's just our opinion. And I really do encourage comments or discussion about it. And you know what? I'm even willing to get on Skype about this. If you guys want to talk to me about it, or you want to think that I'm just so biased that you need to talk some sense into me, I'm open to that.
Yeah, do that with Don, because I don't really need that. Nah, mate, it's all right.
Man, I'm open to it. I'm not one of those guys. I say what I say and I run away. No. If you want to, have a rant, if you want to go toe to toe about me about this, that's fine.
I mean, it would be interesting. I think, yeah, go on. I also don't mind. Really, I don't. I like to hear people's opinion, to be frank.
Yeah, but I'm not interested in argument's sake. I'm interested in having, sensible conversation, So I think that's basically it. You want to say?
Yeah, you've like spoken for England and America and Japan, really. So I just really want to say that, yeah, I have hope for the future. I mean, if it's going to have 4 books?
Yeah.
3-4 books, then maybe they can turn it around. Maybe they can scrap it and start again. Maybe that's what they'll do. I mean, I like, let's be versatile. I like the fact that we're all amalgamating into one wonderful anime planet, and let's just see what's going to happen. But at the end of the day, I've got an opinion, and I know if people ain't going to like it, but that's fine. I feel that there were things that I loved about, but I just felt that it could be so much more, and I'm a bit sad because there was so many layers and so many questions that, if they were answered, would have been informative and provocative and, would have made people think. And for me, when I watch anime and when I watch movies, I like to be provoked. And I felt that where The Legend of Korra was going was in a place where I could have been provoked into thinking and stuff like that. So I'm disappointed. I am. And I know I went off about the love triangle, but I hate that kind of shit. I hate those kind of things. And I just wish and hope that it will be better. And I hope that the writers have more freedom than as they did on The Last Airbender, because when you are an artist and someone tries to hold you back, you cannot do your job properly, and it does end up like a pile of shit.
I really don't think things would have turned out this way if they knew they had 4 seasons from the beginning.
I think it wouldn't have turned out that way if they knew they had 4 seasons. I think it wouldn't have turned out that way if, believing everything that you said, that they had more freedom. I don't think it would have turned out that way if they had the same freedom as when they were doing The Last Airbender. And I just hope that, Nickelodeon realised that we're in 2012 and kids ask certain questions. Believe me, that you wouldn't think a child would ask nowadays, And they don't want monster. I don't believe that certain kids want monster of the weeks. They want to be provoked into stories. They want their imagination to run wild. And you need to give people the freedom to do that, as well as the writers to do that. So I hope that happens in the future. And I definitely, and when the second season comes out, I'm going to be watching, because I'll be supporting regardless. I will support, definitely. So yeah, there you go. A little bit of positivity. Sprinkle some nuggets of positivity on all that sour lemon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with the whole idea and the concept and the working together, and I'm all for that. It's going to be hit and miss, obviously. It's not all going to be perfect. So this is just a time where, personally, I don't think it worked out, but I will be watching the second series of Korra, because I'm extremely curious to see where they're going to go with this now. I think it was a bit of a mess, but I really do hope the best, man. And I know, regardless of what me and you think, people loved it.
People loved it, so that's the reason why it's got 4 seasons, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't want to take anything away from you people that loved it. If you loved it, good for you, man. And it's definitely going to help, spreading the word about these shows, and hopefully there's more collaborations like this. And yeah, that's about it, man. So people, let the flaming posts of hating me nuance begin.
Flame.
Wah!
Yeah,
bloody American hating, cartoon hating, stupid anime loving motherfuckers.
In it, we're gonna get flamed in flames. You should actually put flames around this episode. It's a shame.
But the truth of the matter is, if people really hate what we're saying, they wouldn't have got this far. So
yeah,
the few people that even listen, I appreciate you getting through this. If anyone heard this that feel the same way that we do, then you're not alone. There are some people that looked at it subjectively. The people who watched it, who just took it for what it's worth and just enjoyed it, fine. It's all good, We all agree to disagree, people. Let's appreciate each other's opinions And you know what you want to say?
What, Don?
Let's get the hell out of here.
Please. It's so dry.
Oh man, I'm tired, man.
Tired?
Let's put this behind us.
Way too much.
Yeah, whatever.
Freaking hell. Hey, what are we doing next?